Previously not on Unranked.
What?
Hell yeah, dude.
Oh, wow, this is great.
Hell yeah.
This is great. Oh, they added a little dreidel there.
Very nice.
Wow.
Wow.
This is so good.
Oh, look, hole 15 and 14. They're like on the tree, some of them. Oh my god.
Whoa.
Oh.
There's a menorah. Look at them.
What's in this other room?
There's gonna
I'm
be
going.
You and I both know there's going to be something out there. Yep.
Oh.
What? No way, dude. Wait, they didn't even need to put this. Best game ever made. Lucas Martel. God himself. This is so
God
good,
himself.
dude.
Hello and welcome to the Unranked podcast. It's the 457th episode. I'm here today with a very special guest,
Friend of the
Giovanni
show.
Collantonio.
Wow.
And we also have
back.
He's
Alex
back.
Tuna Marinello and Tom
Hi.
Caswell. Tom looking still,
Jesus. Didn't even
What's up,
let me
gang?
say
haircut
hello.
looking super snazzy, super snark.
Thank you
sharp.
very much.
Oh, boy.
I'm very glad to
Oh,
have it all
boy.
chopped off.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it nice? You get out of the shower and you're like, oh my God, my hair is like dry already.
The big thing is more when you have really long hair getting to the scalp. I if I don't like really scrub when I like shower, I'll
Jesus
get dandruff.
Christ.
What?
That was a very long explanation for a quick question.
I'm saying that the worst part about the wet hair is the fact that it's hard to penetrate and get to the scalp.
Sure.
That's it. So that's the big thing with showering and having short hair.
You have to like move it like in pieces to get, is
You
that?
just have to really like you just have to wash your hair longer.
Yeah.
Honestly, is the big
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're-
whenever I had my hair longer and I would like go out because I like shower in the morning if I have to go somewhere and then like roll straight out, my hair would always freeze during the winter, and that was the worst. That was a really bad time in my life.
Frozen
Oh,
hair
yeah,
seems
yeah.
crazy.
It's
Frozen
nuts.
hair?
It freezes. It freezes
Yeah,
if you just
but-
walk out with it wet and it's too long.
I never
Like
leave.
straight up, and I'm not saying like, oh, just cold hair. I'm saying like you touch it and you're like, this is frozen. This is like a sheet
Yeah.
of ice. On
That's
my head.
wild.
Yeah, it happens. It's
Does it
crazy.
happen with the beard?
No, the beard doesn't freeze. I think it has to
Okay.
be long. It has to.
Yeah.
And my hair gets like
It's
very
got to be
thin.
far enough away from the
Yeah.
face.
Yeah. It's got to be. If it's like dangling, then
Yeah.
and it doesn't have the heat of the scalp, to like warm it
Mhm.
back up. I think
We
that's when it counts.
we experienced frozen hair when we were in Iceland and we were in the Blue Lagoon,
Mm.
and it is very bizarre. So
Weird feeling.
the
Yeah.
fact that it happened to you just on the streets of New York is funny.
Gets cold here. It's a cold day
It does
today.
get cold. It is just now become winter. We were
I'm
waiting
talking
for it.
about
Detroit become winter.
how much work like shampooing his hair is like last week. So like I accidentally had like done No Shave November and I was growing a beard out. And I basically always get to the same point in growing a beard of like fuck it and then I get rid of it. And last week I'm like, all right, I got to trim this up, right? Because like now it was at the point where I either got to trim this properly or it's got to go. And Alex is always getting shit for improperly trimming his beard from Tom.
Oh my god, it's unbelievable.
So I sent a message and I'm like, all right, what's the deal here? And Tom sends me a very long, detailed process on how to properly trim your beard. And I immediately went into the shower and just shaved my beard off because that is way too much fucking work. That is way too much work to do.
You got to process. Oh my god, man.
Well, if you want to shape it, if you want to make it,
Oh sure.
the first time when you do that, it's a big hassle. But after that's why I was saying like, because Chris was like, "How do you do it?" And I'm like, "Well, now I just freehand it because I hate doing the level trick that I taught Chris, where it's like long level here, medium level on the side, and then like shortest level up here." Once you do that the first time and get it looking good, then as long as you're maintaining it like every couple of days, It's just a little bit of a, just clean up.
Oh
clean
my!
up,
Give
and
me
you're
a
done.
break.
Well, Tuna, you wouldn't know about.
I do. I know
that.
a lot about. It. I know a lot.
No.
I know a lot of things. A lot of things.
I take a little pair of scissors and I just if I'm twisting my beard
really?
anxiously and I'm like, oh, that part's too
No.
long. I just cut it. I cut that little
No
hair.
way.
That's it. Yeah,
He's
100%.
doing it. It's strand by strand.
I it's an anxiety tick where I'll just do this,
Yeah.
and when I do that, I'll be like, oh, this one's too long, and then I just walk to the bathroom and I cut that off, and that's how I do it. That's how I trim my beard. And it works.
I don't like the
thing.
mess. I don't want hair on my sink.
Sure.
So I shave in the shower.
Mhm.
And it's so much easier. So it's, I use a one blade, I just electric razor just every 3 days. I just get in the shower, zip, 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 done. Easy.
All right. Yeah.
This episode sponsored by Manscaped.
Yeah, really. This episode is sponsored by
Phillips Norelco.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Let's talk about the 457th Pokemon. It's the evolution of last week's Pokemon, Finian.
I always come off for the worst.
Worst ones. It's pretty bad. This is pretty bad. This is probably one of the worst.
We're in the doldrums right now because we
got
got past
what gen is this?
We're on Gen 4. We're
4.
actually in the back half of Gen 4 right now.
Okay.
So I think relatively soon we're going to start getting bangers because soon we're going to start to get the I think late game Pokemon for Gen 4 and then the legendaries. So we're in the awkward doldrums right now.
Right? Isn't Lucaria coming up?
Yeah, Lucario's coming.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Lucarios. No, we had that. That's like Gen 2, right?
We did.
No,
Gen 3?
Weevil's coming up. Weevil's pretty cool.
That might be Gen 2 or 3. Weevil, I don't know.
Weevil's a cool pokes.
Weevil was the first generation.
All
right. Tuna, what's the name of this Pokemon?
Shit. I started clicking right
Brilliant.
on the arrows on Bubble.
You wanted to see what was actually coming up.
Yeah, I went way far ahead.
Yeah.
Please hold. Technical difficulty.
We had some half decent ones recently.
We've had some great Pokemon recently.
You don't need to fill it.
Giovanni's here, so we have a shit Pokemon.
Oh no,
it's always like a shitty water Pokemon every time I come on. It's always like, yeah, this one sucks actually.
The last great
so
Pokemon we looked
Lummineon.
at was Lucario.
Yeah, okay. Lummineon.
Lummineon.
All right, Lummineon.
Lummineon.
It's a straight evolution of last week's Pokemon. It's a fish. It's like an angel fish.
It's a fish with butterfly fins. Who cares?
With 2 little balls.
Does it have lore?
around its throat.
Like, is there even lore to this?
Terrible.
It's got
Not only is it bad, but the shiny is even worse.
That's heinous.
The shiny is
horrible. Let me see this shiny.
We've had some bad shinies this time.
Oh yeah.
That's
Okay, I'll say this.
Yeah.
This is a Pokemon that should look better in game because the whole thing with this Pokemon and its pre-evolution is the neon part and they glow at night. So that like amber and that turquoise are gonna look cool in the water at night.
I mean, congratulations.
Like, that is their selling point.
It's not good.
It should have been this should be a fairy type. It should be water fairy and make it more interesting.
That would help. Yeah, looking at its Smogon entry, I always love to come in with the competitive angle here.
Oh, okay.
This guy's in a tier called ZU in competitive, which stands for zero used. Yep, it is the tier below PU, which is like the lowest tier basically.
What's the highest tier? AU, always used.
I think that's actually I think there's a tier that's kind of like you can't use this because it's too good. Like
this is a great metric. We need to introduce this as a regular metric.
Yeah, we definitely.
Have you never? Y'all got to go smogon.com and Smogon.
No. I've never heard of it. I only heard of Bubblepedia. We only.
Okay.
This is because Tuna's he's got brand loyalty to Bubblepedia.
Yeah, big time brand loyalty.
Smoke.
Smogon, Smogon.
Gio, what's the best Pokemon? Like, what's the best Pokemon that is banned that you're not allowed to use?
Right now, probably, I think it might be Michinu.
How old is this website?
It's old, but it is a resource that gets updated. The most infamous overused Pokemon was Mega Rayquaza back in the day, which was banned from tournaments because they were like, it's just too good. Like, you just win if you have it. It's not there. Yeah, Uber tier if you
what's the one?
Certain play restrictions.
Mousehold right now is the current meta.
Where are the tiers? I'm not seeing tiers on this website.
I'll get you.
Yeah,
Hang on.
where do I go?
Where do I find the strategy Pokedex?
We are just derailed.
Yeah, hang on. I feel like I'm opening your
Oh
world.
my
that-
god!
that
I
you
feel like
haven't been doing this.
I feel like it's 1999, and I'm
It's
looking up a guide to
crazy.
like Majora's or Ocarina of
I sent
Time.
you all a list. You can kind of
God, the
scroll down
internet
to
used
play
to be so
restrictions, and you'll
good.
see a bunch of tiers there. I don't know if that's like the full list, but like you'll see Uber tier, you'll see overused. That's like OU, which is kind of like your Garchomps and stuff like that everybody has on every team. Yeah, there's a complicated tier system to all of this. I used to competitive breed Pokemon. I never played competitively, but I would make the competitive breeds, and I got deep into this stuff.
Yeah, your fours
Underused,
were strong.
you know?
The fours were
Yeah.
strong with you.
Oh my god, yeah, I'm a big Pokemon guy.
Hell
But
yeah.
anyways, this Pokemon is in Zero used, which I actually have never even seen that tier before. I don't. It's not one that I recognize, so that speaks to this one.
Oh, it's interesting.
There's a
Maushold right
lot.
now is under
Articuno?
rarely used, but I know that they've become dominant recently. So I wonder if that's
Charizard? Wait, Charizard is never used?
not in competitive. Competitive is a very different game.
No,
Yeah,
come on.
it's
Charizard's a
different.
zero. Charizard's
No.
a zero.
Dude, a competitive
used.
Pokemon, you're using a lot of the Pokemon you would never want to play with, and you're doing a lot of these weird, like you're laying down area effects. You're like you're
Yeah.
comboing
Yeah.
a lot of things. It's a
It's
very
not about-
different game.
ridiculous.
It's not about vibes.
This is
No.
ridiculous.
It's like Trick Room. You get like Trick Room teams where it's like, oh, this Pokemon just switches the speed of the room and then is a tank that survives. You have a lot of like, oh, this Pokemon is sets up screens that like reflect damage and block damage.
Yeah.
But like Klefki, I used a lot of Klefki in competitive because
That
Klefki was
fucker, God damn it.
kind of useful.
You know the like
and a lot
hidden
of kids are doing it.
abilities Pokemon have
Yes.
that you never pay attention to? Those become like
Yeah.
the most important thing.
Yeah, that
That's
makes
why-
sense.
That's
I mean,
why
it makes
Klefki was a
sense.
thing.
It
Yeah.
makes sense because in the like all of the meta builds in that Pokemon Pocket game are also like the similar thing where it's like God of War's like ability, like all there are a bunch of these like okay. Yeah,
Pokemon
okay.
is deeply unfun if you play it competitively because it's just like there are 6 Pokemon that everyone uses and it sucks.
Wait a minute. All the Pokemon in the Uber is like Arceus, but like all
Yeah.
its forms: bug, dark, dragon, electric, fairy, fighting, fire, flying. Like, okay.
It's true. That's how it is. That's how it
Mewtwo.
goes.
I'm happy to see Mewtwo up there.
Yeah, Mewtwo's
At least
Uber.
that got a spot. At least Mewtwo got a
You're
spot.
such a Gen 1er.
Yeah, I am. I am. I don't see any other Gen 1s in here.
Can we, Tuna, can we get the
Oh-ho. That's
name
Gen
origin
2.
on the Lummineon so we can put this Pokemon to bed?
Yeah, I guess it's like based on Luminous and Neon or something.
Well,
It
is
is.
it or
It
maybe?
is, yeah.
That's so
It may be.
straightforward.
It may be
It
a
may be?
combination of Luminous and Neon.
Okay.
So,
Or possibly Neon.
yeah.
Don't usually see
Yeah.
possibly.
You know,
All right,
it's
I'm just gonna
also
read a
like
Pokedex entry.
the trivia is like nothing on this. There's no trivia.
Luminion swimming in the darkness of the deep sea look like stars shining in the night sky. Great. So this has got to go on our list.
Low.
I honestly want to put it. I think it's uglier than its pre-evolution.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
This is
I
the
would
current
put it
list.
right above it.
GL. Put it in the
What's
chat.
that? Oh, okay.
I put it in the chat. Our current list.
Okay.
You
this is the
you would
current
put it
list.
above it, Tom? I feel like it's worse than the pre-evolution.
You know what I want to watch? I want to watch like a
What
pro
did we put Finny on?
Pokemon battle.
61.
like
What
it.
happens?
I like it. It's got a little bit more zhuzh. I like its like the now I'm really looking at it.
Because Finneon's got more interesting color going on.
Yes, I would agree. That's a good point. Yeah, color. Yeah, you know what? I'll give it. I'll give you that.
So it should go below Finneon. Tuna, what do you think
Yeah.
looking at this list?
Yeah.
We're looking down between 60, like between 61 and 70. Where's this
that's-
Pokemon
yeah.
going?
That feels high up. What?
Well,
is
this
going
is
on?
just
No,
this generation.
This
Oh,
is
okay. Oh my god.
just
I was
this
like, what
gen.
the
Just this
guys
generation.
doing?
Just
No.
this gen.
we just
I was like, how much
started
do you
doing
hate
this.
Pokemon that you're like, this
No.
one sucks. We're putting it at 60.
Just this generation
Okay.
that we're doing. Yeah.
Eventually we'll do
We
all of
started
them
doing this. We started ranking them
with this generation.
Yeah, this generation.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
we're gonna go back and do the others eventually, but
I would, if I was putting it here, I would probably put it at like 57, maybe. high,
Okay.
if I'm being generous.
I wouldn't put it above Hippopotas.
I don't know, but I hate Badoo. That's the one I'm looking at where I'm like, I can't believe Badoo is up that high. God, what did you guys do?
That's an Uber Pokemon.
Yeah.
What did
Yeah.
What did you
That's
do with
fair.
Badoo?
Tuna, you're really the tiebreaker here.
What is it between?
Well, me and Chris, I mean, technically, like if we were doing it by rank, it would be above Finian because Chris says below. Would think above, and then we've got
Split
what,
the
57.
difference.
Split the
All right.
difference.
Yeah.
50. It's the new 58.
Okay.
Then that would put it at
Above Score Uppy, but below Badoo, which is the one Pokemon Giovanni wanted it above. Perfect.
Son of a bitch.
no one.
You
No
did
one
this
wins.
despite me.
It's the perfect
one wins.
compromise.
Yeah,
Everyone's
no.
unhappy.
No
Democracy at its best.
Oh man.
What the hell is this thing called again? I hate this Pokemon. Lummineon. It's just
That
one of those
really
Pokemon that,
just,
like,
yeah.
on paper, you're like, yeah, hell yeah, like neon Pokemon, like with like wings. Fuck yeah, let's do it. And then someone just draws a fish, and you're like, this sucks. It's just so boring. All right, Gio, we haven't heard from you in a minute. We haven't seen you in a little while.
Wow. Yeah. I'm
What's
here.
been
What's
going
the new-
on?
what's
What's
the news?
happening?
Man,
What's
it's been
the
busy,
word?
y'all. It's been busy. We just got through what a busy year for video games. We're near the end of it now, right? Like all the major releases are probably out. That's been consuming
Just about any.
just about
Yeah.
about, you know, something's gonna drop. Who knows?
Well, there's the
Yeah.
I guess like if you have the premiere version, Indiana Jones just launched, but otherwise
I
there's
do.
a
I
couple
played
days
it.
for most
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. So I just got through like a marathon of that stuff. I'm doing
yeah.
Game Awards next week, and that's my last kind of like push for the year. But it's been a busy year, man. Like
Yeah.
people talked about last year for games being one of the great years of games, and I'm like, this whooped its butt, man. It whooped it. That's my hot take. But I don't know this year. Other than that, where did all the time go? I'm watching movies again. I don't know.
I'd have to compare. That's an interesting.
Here's the thing. Last year, really good big budget sequels to movies, or not movies, to games. Really good big budget game sequels, really good franchise games and all that stuff, and like a quieter indie year. This year's the flip, where it's like really good indie year, really good original IP year, like okay year for IP, not great. But I just happen to be on the side that's like, I love that inverse of that way more because I like franchise IP games are like the same thing over and over.
Okay.
It's like, oh great, there was a 2D Mario game that was good last year. That's fun. Like whatever.
I mean, Alan Wake 2 technically is a sequel, but it's
That's
such
a
a different
class.
game than the original, you know. So there was that. But what's funny you say that because I love indie games.
Yeah.
And as much as I love Balatro, and maybe it's my game of the year, maybe. It doesn't hold a candle to Tunic or Walkabout MiniGolf to me. Those are two of the best video games I've ever played in my life.
Walkabout MiniGolf.
That's fair. You're a big Walkabout MiniGolf person.
Ever.
And Tunic is
Tunic is amazing.
So, but that being said, banger year back to back. That's an interesting point. I didn't really think about it.
Do I have a game of the year ready? Is that what you asked?
Yeah.
I do. I got my top 10 ready, baby. I'm ready to go now. But I'll give you my sneak peek at my number one because it's a left field one. My game of the year is a game called Loreli and the Laser Eyes.
I knew it.
By Simogo, the developer of Sayonara Wild Hearts. That game, I'm a puzzle game boy.
Oh, I didn't know that they made Sayonara Wild Hearts. I like that.
Yeah,
game
man.
a lot.
That's why I've been beating the drum and being like, y'all, don't sleep on it.
This is when we had you last on because you were talking about this game, and then I went and played it. Yeah, and it was great. It's a really good game. It's very tough puzzle.
It's hard as hell. Yeah.
Yes.
I always say that it's like the Dark Souls for puzzle heads in the term, and not in terms of like this is the Dark Souls of puzzle games, but in terms of it is unrelenting. Like it's no hints. You have to bash your head against a wall.
You got to write stuff down. You got to remember things. Yep.
Yeah.
I tried telling Tuna about this because Tuna and I we're puzzle freaks. Yeah, but at the same time, I was also trying to get you to finally play Control. And then you started being like, I'm going to play Control. And so then I just gave up on Lorelei because I was like, I can't distract him. I can't distract him from it.
Lorelei and Laser Eyes.
It's good. It's
Yeah.
like an
Well,
old
major
school
game of the
Resident
year.
Evil game without the action.
Yep.
It's just the puzzle
Okay.
box like mansion of it, and it's
Right.
got some real tough, like 10 layers deep puzzle solving to it. That's so good.
Yeah.
And just a vision. I mean, the art design and everything of that game is like out of this world. That's like one of my favorite games of all time. Genuinely, I love it a lot.
It's point and click like Golden Idol a little bit. Like
Yeah, sort of.
it's
Yeah.
not
But
easy
that's my
like Golden
that's
Idol, but
I still got a couple games to get through, but
hell yeah. I had a feeling that was still gonna be your
Alright.
number one because you were going on about that game.
yeah, it's far and beyond. And then like once you get down my list after that, it's like a little more, like
Okay.
whatever. But that one's far and beyond. But what is it? I feel like I want to ask you guys about what your favorite things of the year are, but I feel like you must be saving that. You can't be giving that away yet, right?
No, and I don't think I actually so the other day, because we'll probably do that. We usually pre-record our like holiday episode, and that usually goes at the top of it. So the other day I started putting it together, like because I did keep a list this year, and every week I like anytime I played a new game, I added to it. So I played 37 games so far this
Mhm.
year.
Nice.
So I was able to then take that and then cut that down. So now I have mine down to 14.
14.
Of like, well, now
Games
I
that
gotta
you
pare
like,
that
yeah.
14 down to 10, of what my top 10 is. So that's I'm close. I'm close to it. But there's a decent chance that Bellagio could possibly be my number one for the year, maybe. But
Wow.
I also loved Astrobot, and I loved.
Yeah, Astro's great.
Is it? I feel I don't know if I should include Hades too, because then it becomes more complicated.
I didn't include it on my list this year. I'm like, the story's not done.
Right. And so
The
that's
run's
yes,
not done.
exactly. So
Yeah.
that's why, and so that I might just cut from my list to make it easier.
Y'all got
And
UFO
I only
50 on that
just started
sucker?
Zelda. So
Okay.
UFO 50 is, and I also only recently just started that.
It's good as hell. That
So
game's
that's
great.
yeah, that is a game I'm very excited about playing is UFO 50.
That's 50 great games.
Did that ever come out on Switch?
No, I'm hoping that
What
it
the
will
fuck?
at some point, but Steam Deck, baby.
Yeah, that's where I'm playing it.
Yep.
That's the I want Tuna to play it, but he doesn't have a Steam Deck, and I'm like, this is
That's
a better
super
game to play
cheap now.
handheld.
You can
We
get
gotta
you can get a
crowdfund.
real like the cheapest Steam Deck is super affordable now.
Is it? How much
Yeah.
does that cost now?
How much does that cost?
Like 3 something.
Yeah, 320, maybe 350.
Hmm.
Hmm.
It
It's
would be
definitely-
sick.
It's definitely got a like thing though. The one $3.99. I guess they had it on sale for Black Friday, so
Oh, okay.
it
That's
was
what you
like down
saw.
to like three. It was down to like oh no. They do a 64 gig. Maybe it's their refurb.
Oh, yeah, and then you
Yeah,
could just
maybe
get the
that's-
SD card. You could just get a micro SD card at that point.
$279 for his 64 gig refurbished Steam Deck, which is they don't sell the 64 anymore. It's
Mm.
the highest. They now have the OLED with the 1 terabyte is the highest tier. But still,
Just get an app before the
$3.99.
tariffs hit it.
Well, that's a good point, actually. Tuna
That
could
is a
have
very legitimately
bought-
good point.
Tuna could have bought my Steam Deck months and months ago, but he didn't. He decided
I
not
keep
to.
thinking about should I buy a PS5 Pro now before the tariffs?
Right,
No,
well, it's going to be over
You
$1,000.
do not need it. Even
Oh.
you don't need it.
Gio, I'm gonna get
Uh-oh.
it.
Oh, boy.
Don't.
I'm gonna
Oh,
get it
boy.
for GTA, and it's the only thing that I want it for. Is I'm
That's
gonna
cool.
want it for Grand Theft Auto,
Okay.
and so I'm like,
Uh,
should I get it
okay.
now
If it
before Grand Theft
supports it-
Auto comes out? I mean, it will.
Yeah,
Oh.
okay.
It will.
It should.
It
Oh,
will.
It will.
definitely support
And
it.
I feel strongly
Oh.
about the fact that it'll, at minimum, there'll probably be a 40 FPS mode, and
Sure,
that's all I
sure.
need. 40 FPS mode has
Yeah, it's
been
pretty good.
like Star Wars Outlaws was great on 40 FPS because it gave me the visuals that like like if you have a high end PC, that game can look incredible. But if you're playing on a console, 40 FPS mode is really like a great compromise between visuals and
It depends on
performance.
It depends on what they do because it's been interesting with the Pro because it's been a wide gamut of improvements. There are some games that genuinely look like a generational leap because of how they utilize like resources and things like that. And like the way they implement PSSR. But
Pisser.
there are some games.
What's PSSR?
PlayStation Super Spectrum Super Sampling or something like that.
Yeah,
Super
Yeah.
Smash
super spectral
Brothers.
resolution.
Super spectral
Yeah,
resolution.
that's what it was.
it. But then there are some games that apparently look even
Alright.
worse than on base PS5 because like they fucked up how to use it. And that is the thing,
Hell yeah.
is that this time around it'll be interesting because it's not just like a hardware spec bump to like bring shit up to 4K. It's this like underlying software technology that can be improved over time. That means that like PS5 Pro games in the future will look a jump above, in theory, what we're seeing now. So I think it is, if you play the PlayStation a lot, I think it's a worthwhile investment, especially for GTA, because I do think there's a potential they could get a 60 FPS mode working. And then if they do that and the Series X only runs at 30 FPS, then it really is the nail in the coffin for that fucking console. Yeah, interesting stuff. But yeah,
I think the new Switch is supposed to have some kind of DLSS form as well when docked,
Interesting.
which I think is supposed to be how it'll support 4K.
4K,
It'll probably be like a 720 to 4K or something like that, like upres.
So we can see Kirby looking with no extra
Blorbus.
detail on him at all. People always talk about like,
I mean,
people always talk about like resolution jump and graphic jumps for Nintendo games, and I kind of laugh because I'm like, what are they going to make Kirby rounder? Like, what do you expect from them at this point?
You're half right, but then you play a game like Astrobot and you see what texture and lighting can do, and I just say to myself, if Nintendo had this, if Nintendo had these tools, like,
but would they use them? I don't know. I just don't know.
If
I don't trust them.
If they had the power, right? And Game Freak could put out a game that looks like half decent and it would still run. That's the thing. Like, Game Freak's not going to make a Pokemon game that looks amazing, but it'll still work. Like, it won't be broken because
the biggest thing for me with like what I would want to see from that is like asset management. Like some of the thing that makes Astrobot amazing is like when something explodes into a million balls.
Oh my god, it's so crazy.
Like the physics of it all. Like when it comes to Pokemon, I don't even necessarily want it to like look better than the previous gen. I just want things to be spawned 12 feet out from me. I want the city to have people walking around it. Like I want that out of the console. So I think that that I agree that like I don't need Mario to necessarily look better, but seeing what Astrobot did with the fact that Astrobot is the technical powerhouse of the 3D platformer, and I was so impressed by how it utilized that in gameplay, like how the game feels. I think a Mario. I hope we get closer to that.
I like when that stage, which they never repeated this mechanic, and I'm like furious about it. But the stage where you shrink down, it's like the best thing in the game. I don't know if you could have done that on a previous console where you're just instantly shrink. I don't know if that was something you could do.
Not. Yeah,
not at that speed.
Yeah,
and like there's no.
Wait, what are you talking about?
There's no hitching. The ability to shrink inside the world in an instant. And it like loads seamlessly, and the world loads seamlessly, and like
that's like a hard thing to do.
Yes, you probably could not do it without this generation of consoles.
You do it a little on Walkabout, but we're more just zooming out on Walkabout.
Did you play the Ratchet and Clank Rift in Time, or whatever the most recent Ratchet and Rift Apart, Tuna?
Yeah.
Did you play that at all?
No.
So in Rift Apart, the big
phenomenal
thing with
game.
That,
Platinum
the big thing with that is it would load worlds seamlessly. So it's like you fly through a portal and boom, you're in another world. Like there are things that are just like, oh, that's interesting, but like, yeah, no, it's very taxing.
Even the very beginning of the console generation, and it wasn't a very good game, but like the Medium, that like Xbox.
Oh yeah,
game,
it wasn't bad. It was just fine.
Yeah, a good old 6 out of 10. Really wanted to be Silent Hill. Good audition for them to actually make Silent Hill.
Yeah, it was creepy.
But it
did.
had like a trick in it where you would see the world and then you could like flip to the other world like seamlessly, and that was like one of those things where you look at it and you're like, okay, that doesn't seem like a big deal, but like the technical power that goes into having like those two things you can flip between, you're like basically running two images at the same time. Like that's the kind of stuff that it really uses the power of the system even more than like resolution or detail or
Yeah.
things like that.
They can make a good Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe game.
Yes, that's
That's
what
the
I
way
wanna
you
hear,
utilize that
buddy.
technology.
Or you know what they could do? They could do a great like Monsters Inc. door sequence where you're opening the
Ooh.
doors and going in the
Oh,
other rooms and shit.
Mm.
Scooby Doo game where they're all running
Oh
through
yeah,
the doors and out the other.
the portals.
Yeah,
Fuck.
baby.
I love that.
Make a new portal. Come on.
That's
Portal 3. That is the game we need. More than
God.
Half-Life 3, honestly. Like, if I'm being honest.
That's
we
the
got Half-Life
Walkabout
Alyx.
MiniGolf collab I need. And it's one I feel like we could get because they are pretty open to like they have fucking like Portal Bridge Constructor. Portal Walkabout would be
What do you mean,
Also,
Portal?
like, Valve is kind of in on VR a little bit, right? Like,
Yeah.
they have the VR headset. That makes sense. I bet Gabe
Yeah.
Newell plays that game in his
bet he
office
does.
without
Oh, yeah.
shoes.
There's a game Tuna called Bridge Constructor where you construct bridges.
Mm-hmm.
You would probably like this game. It would become one of your special interests and you would have a good time with
Special interest. You make me sound like I'm like autistic.
I mean, you love trains.
One of Tuna's special things.
That's all I'm saying.
This guy.
Just saying you really like trains.
Holy shit! Getting called out.
By
on
the
that.
way, the new course that came out today, Walkabout MiniGolf, it's like, oh my God. Gio, I know we still haven't gotten you in there. And we talked about it the last time.
I know.
We have to get you in there. You have
I
a
got
Quest,
that Quest
right?
3S. I have the
Got a-
3S now. Yeah.
Then what are you doing?
We have
This
to get
game's
you in there.
incredible.
All right, we'll
We
we'll-
have to get you in there.
No,
The
I
new
know.
one is like, it's a holiday themed course, but it does
You just saw it.
it does the Walkabout thing.
Yeah.
It does the Astrobot thing where that is a toys like we're toy sized on everything.
Right,
So
right.
we're
I gotta.
It's a
It's
great
good. I
game.
mean, hey, look, looking into next year, like until February, we're home free. There's no video games until February, and then there's 700 of them in the course of a month. Maybe that'll be it. Maybe it'll be my
That's-
Walkabout period.
That'll be it. Just a walkabout. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what
it.
everyone
That's a
thinks.
Walkabout.
And then a game like Balatro shows up, or that Prince
Yeah.
of Persia game, which everyone thought like was kind of like whatever. And then like you have two of the best Helldivers, Balatro, and Prince of Persia came out in the first like 5 weeks of this year. No one
Yeah,
knew any of
it'll
that.
happen again.
In fact, I remember we had you on this time last year.
no,
And we were talking about like, oh well, like what did Sony even have next year? And you were like, what is it going to be? Helldivers? Who cares about that? And then Helldivers came, and for like 3 months you couldn't escape Helldivers. It was nuts.
I really specifically remember this because I remember like the way that Sony was marketing Helldivers was like so poor at the beginning of it, and like they didn't send out code early for it to reviewers or anything. So I was like, oh, they do not care about this
Yeah.
game, and like it just looks like another live service flop. And then I extremely wrong. Sometimes you're just wrong about things. I don't know.
I wish I had remembered that because then I could have made that the previously on. Just found that old clip and played that.
I mean, listen. I need you to make a. Well.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, there's still
Yeah.
time.
No, there isn't.
Yeah,
there isn't.
Yeah, there
No,
is.
there fucking
Yeah, there
isn't.
is.
No, there isn't.
I lost that bet because it's very. I bet that we'd be playing it again because.
No, you bet that we would be. Well, I don't know if you said continuous. We'll go to the videotape. But that we
Yeah.
would still be. We would. I think it was. We would still.
I
be
said,
playing
yeah, we'd be
Helldivers
playing
by
it.
Christmas.
Oh,
Still be playing Helldivers by
But
Christmas.
I didn't intend like we're playing.
Oh,
nonstop.
listen! I wrote it down. I put it in my phone as a reminder.
Yeah, that's
I've
fine.
I've been thinking about this.
That's fine. However, I
No,
expected them at this point to drop that third class
Right.
that they've been
Yeah.
hinting at since spring.
Yeah,
And if that
yeah.
shit had come out, I'd be playing that game right now. But they
Yeah, I'm
haven't
sure.
dropped the third faction.
Well,
they haven't done the big content update they promised.
That's gambling, man.
Yeah, that's fine.
Tom.
Yeah, that's
No,
fine.
I mean it was just really funny that even that came out in February, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so,
forget
like,
who we had a guest on
By
too.
We had Emma
mid-April,
Fife on.
There you go.
Even by like mid-April, it was already like, ooh, not looking good. for
Yeah,
Hell.
but I didn't think we were going to be playing. We don't even play Halo
Whoa,
that
whoa.
much.
Yeah, but look, we'll put it in the previously on. Let
Yeah.
me have my day,
Okay, yeah.
and then we'll just.
Yeah, you cut it together. I'll put it
I'm
in.
not. Fine, I'll cut it. I'll cut it using my iMovie.
You have your phone. Yeah.
Oh,
Like I
You
said,
can get-
iMovie. I'll put it together with iMovie.
iMovie.
Um,
iMovie.
I kind of want to hear from Gio about how Indiana Jones is because I am very,
Yeah, yeah,
very
yeah.
hyped about this game, and I was about to start it. I waited
Chris,
until
Chris
4 p.m.
hasn't
Pacific.
Chris hasn't stopped talking about this game for like 2 months.
Oh
I'm
my
very
gosh.
excited about it. You know what I have here? I never showed it off. I have well, first I have the Chalice.
Okay. Okay.
Very
All
nice.
right.
I did a rewatch of all the movies. I just
Mm-hmm.
finished Dial of Destiny today. I just finished my rewatch.
Very nice. Nice. You can drink
And I
some Mountain
have
Dew gamer fuel out of that while you play it.
probably some Spindrift. You know,
Okay.
probably actually won't put anything in it and drink it because who knows what this is painted
Yeah,
with. Like,
probably not. Probably not. Great.
but I have a reproduction that I got on Etsy like a while back, but of the journal from Last Crusade. It's his
Mhm.
dad's journal that he sends him, and it's got like everything in it as well as like his rubbings and paperworks and everything that are in the movie. It's pretty cool. So I'm a big
Rubbings.
I really like Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Having rewatched them all,
Oh boy.
I feel I feel differently about two of them than I thought I did. Actually, I came away with three pretty distinct takeaways that I don't think I had previously.
You love Shia LaBeouf now.
Shia
Yeah,
LaBeouf.
Kingdom of
No,
the Crystal
no, no,
Skull
no,
is
no,
his
no.
favorite.
Kingdom of the
Shia
Crystal
LaBeouf.
Skull is I put in fourth. I don't think it's the worst anymore. I think Temple of Doom is worse than Kingdom of the Crystal
What?
Skull.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
man, going back to Temple of Doom is the only good thing in that movie is Short Round, and obviously Indiana Jones is always. But
Well,
like,
I guess anything goes when you're watching fucking
well, there's
Indiana
no
Jones.
in all of the other movies, right?
That
Indiana
was the
Jones is
temple.
looking
That
for
was the Temple of
something.
Doom reference. That was the Temple of Doom reference. That's the song she sings in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Nobody got it. Tom like is in La La Land over there.
Also,
So
she's the
I've
worst,
watched
the worst
Temple
of
of
all
Doom
the
the
like.
least, I think.
She's a really like not fun character to have on screen in that movie.
You know what's crazy? I only recently learned that Temple of Doom is a prequel.
Yeah,
oh my God, Jesus Christ!
yeah,
Like I didn't like because I was trying to look up when this is set because in the beginning of the game, he's talking about Raiders like it just happened. And I was like, wasn't this meant to be set between Temple of Doom and Last Crusade? And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, the timeline is Temple of Doom is before. What?
Yeah.
Weird.
it's
Oh, also the sequence with the mine carts in Temple of Doom is
yeah, but it
iconic.
goes on. It's good, but it also goes on like 3 times longer than it needs to.
I can't believe you're putting Temple of Doom below Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, because that movie is like 2/3 takes place in the temple, and it's missing a lot. It's missing all the like the best thing about Indiana Jones is that he's
Yeah.
actually just like a big nerd. He's a big nerd who can be an action star, but he's actually just a big nerd, and he like uses his brain and his wit to solve things a lot of the time. And sometimes he uses brute force and he fights. Last Crusade really upped the like action part of him, but like otherwise, his whole
Last
thing is that like.
Crusade. The Lost Ark. What puzzles is he solving in Lost Ark besides getting someone to read the medallion?
I don't know. I didn't say anything about puzzles.
Well, you said that he's using his brain.
Yeah, but his wits.
He's
That's
not
why
using,
everyone wants.
What wits is he using in Lost Ark? The guy goes, meets Sala, says, I got this
Yeah.
medallion. Do you have somebody that can read this? Oh, I think this other guy does. Let's go. Oh, here we go. Da, da, da. We need this staff. You take one away
think
for
what
the
Chris means is less like the puzzle solving and more like he knows so much. So he
Yes.
sees something and he's
Alright.
like,
Yes.
"Fuck, this is the ancient Egyptians from the
Correct.
period of Senator Noah," and it's
His knowledge is his
yeah.
greatest strength.
I mean, to be honest with you, though, I thought there was more historical information in The Mummy.
Sure, maybe. Last Crusade has a decent amount of historical information.
More Brendan Fraser too, and that's really important.
Yeah. Yeah.
to me.
But Temple of Doom has like none of that. Temple of Doom's just like it feels like a Dark Souls level. Like you're in just like this like weird evil temple with like this Street Fighter villain, and
It's not
it's
cozy.
yeah, it's I don't know, but
Shit movie.
yeah, my order is Ark, Crusade,
Ark Crusade.
Dial, Crystal, Temple.
What?
That's where I put them.
Okay.
No.
That's
Number
right,
one.
I would
Number one is definitely-
agree. I would probably what Last Crusade, Tuna?
Oh yeah. 100%.
Last
really
Crusade,
like Last Crusade.
Crusade has for something that's like really fun. Like I
Yeah.
think that movie is really fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, I struggle to pick between the two of them. I think they're both like fantastic, but there's a lot of people who like to complain about things that are like in modern movies that are referential to like old modern movies, like Star Wars, like Han Solo, right? In the Solo movie, when he gets his name, that's no worse than like, here's this guy who's wearing Indiana Jones' outfit. And young Indiana Jones
We
fights
called the
him, and he
dog
gets
Indiana.
and the snakes are there. Like they gave weird backstory to all of these things that have only existed for two movies. Like that movie is so self-referential to the previous two Indiana Jones movies and answering questions that no one ever asked that I'm like, it's interesting they got away with this and no one seems to care about these things because they are
There was no
just
internet
as
back
corny
then.
as like many of the
Yeah.
things that come out now. Yeah, that's fair. There's
No
no
internet,
internet back
baby.
then. Yeah,
Yeah, because
internet's ruined
it
everything.
is that thing of like, I like Dial of Destiny. I don't get why a lot of people really don't like it. And there are so many things I read about that are complaints for Dial of Destiny, and I'm like, this shit's in other Indiana
Yeah,
Jones movies. Like, it's
yeah.
it
I think it's
felt
just a little
very.
too long, and I
It is
think they
long,
made her
yeah.
character a little too unlikable. I think they
Oh,
made her a little bit too much of a
hmm,
jerk.
interesting.
Wait,
See,
who?
I liked Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Phoebe,
Who the fuck is
yeah,
that?
that's right.
She's a
Did
character
you
in the new movie.
did you see Dial
No,
of
I didn't.
Destiny?
No, I didn't see that movie.
Me
I put
neither.
it on. I
She
put it on
clicked
the.
for
Oh, you
me.
didn't see it either, Gio?
No,
I
no, no.
liked how much of a bitch she was to him.
Mm.
Yeah, I she's a little too unlikable, I think.
And it's my favorite of the like twists of like, oh,
Oh, I totally agree.
it's it actually is spooky,
Yeah.
and it's really funny that every movie he's like, I don't believe in any of this. And he's like, holy shit.
I don't believe in any of this. I met Lancelot.
Yeah,
I don't believe in any of
exactly.
this.
He's
Wait a
like
minute. What do you mean
in
he
that
doesn't
movie, he's
believe
like,
in
I
it?
was
He knows to close his eyes when the arc is
Well,
opened at the
yeah,
end of
but he
yeah, like,
always, he never believes in it until right when it happens. Is
yeah,
his
it's like
whole
He
fuck.
never
Yeah.
who is
learns.
this actress? Phoebe Waller-Bridge?
From
Who is this?
Fleabag.
Fleabag. You would like
I
Fleabag, by
never
the
saw
way.
Fleabag. Never
Yeah,
saw
you would
that.
Yeah,
like Fleabag.
you would like that.
All right. So yeah, Gio, I want to know what because I was about to start it and then I realized since my wife has watched all of the other Jones movies
Yeah.
with me this week, and she was like, she's gonna be working all weekend on the couch, and I'm gonna be playing it on the couch. I was like, I won't start it yet. But I was
Yeah,
happy
yeah.
to see that there's different difficulties for like combat and puzzles, which is cool. I thought
There
that was
is,
cool.
yes. Yeah.
So, all right, tell me
Yeah,
about it.
I'm happy to give the take. I'll say the good transition into this is that if the thing that you like about Indiana Jones as a property is the idea of he uses his brains to solve things, and that is like a key part of his character, that is the thing that this game does that I think is special. I really like it, and I came into it being really, really skeptical about it. I genuinely was like, Indiana Jones exists as a video game, and it's called Uncharted, and like trying to do an Indiana
I
Jones video
hate
game.
Uncharted.
Whether or not, like it is, regardless of what you think of
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
it
yeah.
is like Uncharted is just Indiana Jones if you made Indiana Jones a video game, right? It's
Yeah.
like set pieces, it's the puzzles, it's so indebted to it. And I was just kind of like, a lot of games have beaten Indiana Jones to the punch. So how do you make an Indiana Jones game that's not just going to be like, oh, this is Uncharted, but from a company that, isn't Naughty Dog? But what I was really pleased to learn when I played it is that, hey, it turns out Machine Games is a great studio. I don't know how I forgot this from playing Wolfenstein: The New Colossus, which is a fantastic game. The cool thing about it is that there are a couple of segments where it's like trying to be Uncharted, and I actually think those are the weakest parts of the game. The like linear story sections that are like this 45-minute mission that's a big set piece, and you're like driving in the back of a car and shooting a gun at other jeeps. It's like, okay, this is everything. But that's not what most of the game is. Most of the game is like Dishonored, actually. It's this sort of like pseudo immersive sim where they drop you into like the Vatican City, and it's just like go and do stuff. And you can like disguise yourself to get into certain areas, and this is all like light. Like it's not like a true immersive sim, but like it's not like Hitman level or whatever.
Yeah,
it's very
probably
approachable.
closer to Star Wars Outlaws, where it's like it's basic.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of choice there, but like these densely packed areas. There's like 3 basically open world areas. Each one is really densely packed with like mysteries that you can do and subquests and tombs and like all of these things. And it gives you a lot of options in terms of like how you're going to deal with things and like, are you going to be sneaky? Are you going to not be sneaky? Things like that. But the like thing that I really like about it, and this is so ticky tacky. I think Tom and I were talking about this at some point. Like, I think maybe the way that it incentivizes you to like think like an archaeologist and like care like an archaeologist would about the world. A very, very small thing, right? In most games, the way you would level up and gain experience and like progress your character, right, is like you fight a bunch of guys and you get experience, and then there's a skill tree and you go put the skill in. Indiana Jones doesn't do that. Instead, you get experience points, quote unquote, which are called adventure points, by like picking up documents and like taking photos of things. So that's the experience system. Nice. So you're going around, you're like picking up lore, or snippets or whatever, doing the photos. So you like get rewarded for doing that as opposed to fighting. And like fighting is kind of like, if you have to do it, cool, you'll have to do it. And then it's also not like, oh, there's a skill tree and you just drop points into it. The only way that you get skills are through these books that you find that are like hidden through the world. So like you have to find those too. Like you have to explore to be able to find those and then use the points to get them. So the whole loop of the game like becomes way more about like thoroughly exploring spaces and like observing things, which is like what a game where you're an archaeologist should be, right? Like you shouldn't just be a superhero who's coming in and beating the crap out of everybody and being like, now I level up and got my new skill node. And it does that really, really well. So that's the aspect of it that I really like. It's like weirdly brainy in a way that I wasn't expecting. And it has like really tough puzzles, really, really tough puzzles. Some that I like could not crack as a Lorelei, as a guy who finished Lorelei and Laser Eyes without guides. Like there was some in there where I was like, damn, like I don't know what it's getting at. Like,
you're a big inscription guy too, right?
Huge. Love inscription.
Okay.
Yeah. It's my genre.
Amazing.
So yeah, just a lot of really good stuff like that. And then I think I've seen some like mixed opinion about the combat. And Tom, I'm curious about where you landed on this as well. But like I was skeptical about it at first because it's mostly brawling. It's mostly like first person punching. It's very indebted to the Chronicles of Riddick game from the Xbox 360 back in the day, which I think Machine Games like
they made it
worked on.
They
before,
did.
That they were machine games.
Little Diesel boys.
Yeah, the Vin Diesel boys. So, but it's like a first person stealth system. And the idea of it is that you use a lot of improvised weapons. So it's like you're walking, there's a guard, you're like, ah, crap, what am I going to do? And then you find like a guitar and you're like, well, and you sneak up behind him and you smash a guitar over his head. And like that knocks
sick.
him out.
That's
and like,
awesome.
And there's just a lot of like slapstick comedy animations. There's a lot of like nutting Nazis with like you take like an oar and you like hit him in the balls with it, and like a whole like cartoon animation of that. And my grand thesis about this game is that the really fun thing about it is that the Wolfenstein games that they have done previously are about like no quarter, right? Like the way we defeat fascism is by like killing these motherfuckers, right? Like that is the thesis of those games. And this is like, you can also beat them just by outsmarting them because they're fucking dumb. Like, you know, these people are really dumb. And like the whole game is just about like Indiana Jones getting the jump on people who are really stupid. So it's not meant to be really like in your face fighting 100 guys and like a big power fantasy. It's like about getting up behind somebody and sucker punching them, and they have no idea you're there because one, the AI is stupid as hell, just like truly Xbox, like PS1 level AI, which is really funny. But two, it's just like the satisfaction of getting the jump on somebody who like has the power in the situation, but like they're too stupid. And as long as you are smarter than them, you can get the jump on them. And to me, that makes it a really good Indiana Jones game, which goes back to what you were saying at the very beginning of this, where it's like, this is a person who outwits other people. And that's how he gets one step ahead of like finding a relic that someone else is hunting for. And that's what makes it a really good Indiana Jones game. That's my succinct thesis on it.
That's 100% of what I wanted from this game. I wanted this because I don't like the Uncharted games because they're not Indiana Jones games because they're action games where you're just shooting all the time. Whereas Indiana Jones is only shooting at people if he has to. Like that was his whole like he avoids fighting whenever he can. That's always been his thing. And that's what I didn't like about those games. The gameplay was always like that. It was always basically just reskinned Zelda puzzles where you're just moving things around. And it's because it was in third person. The second we saw this trailer and thought it was in first person, the first thing I realized was we're going to get good puzzles. And that was what got me excited because Tuna and I play basically any co-op escape room title game that there exists. We will play that. Like we've have you I don't know if you played the We Were Here series.
No.
Okay, so
Geo.
Ooh, that sounds good. All right. I like an escape room series.
Dude, do you even play video games?
Dude, I do. Have you guys played Boxes Lost Fragments?
You never heard of it, but
there's 4 of them now. In fact, I think there might be a set that like you could just get them all packaged together. They're on console and Steam. The first one is like super indie game, super like not a great looking game, very simple, but they're all asynchronous. They're all like it's a co-op escape room game, and one person and the other person are always separated. So like you have to, communicate like what you're looking at, what they're looking at to like get. They are fantastic video games.
I'll check them out. I do. That's my shit, man. The one thing I'll just follow up on what you said there about like shooting as a last resort. This game does that really well too because you have a pistol like that you can pull out in an oh shit moment. You do not have much ammo for it, but like it is a real last resort because when you shoot it, every single person in the area is alerted and they are suddenly on you, which like is very overwhelming, and that's how you lose when you have to like think stupid and be like, how the hell do I get out of this situation? Then you lose. Whereas like sneaking up on somebody and like silently taking them out, that's the way to go. So like it has shooting in it, but it's really kind of like there's no other way I'm going to escape this situation than unless I take this guy down and then run.
It's your fucking option.
That feels in the spirit too. Yeah. Tom,
awesome.
Did you feel this stuff? Do you agree with this? Do you disagree?
No, I love this game. I think it's one of the best games of this year. I think it's one of the best games Xbox has ever published.
Thank God they did it.
I know, right?
Finally.
I think we will look back in a couple of years of like, we've been waiting forever for like the dominoes to fall of Xbox having banger after banger. I do think that we are there now. I think this will be looked back on as the game that started that because I think Avowed is going to be of this quality based on everything I'm hearing about that game. I have faith that Fable game is going to be good. That Clockwork thing from In Exile looks great. Like I think that finally they're hitting their stride, and this is a phenomenal game. I'm with Geo on the side of like the negatives that some people have are like the dumb AI and the combat is clunky, but like to me it plays into the themes of what Indiana Jones is, and it makes it feel unique and it feels intentional. So the notes that I have are I love how Indy is just a man. So the very beginning of the game, the very first takedown I did, and I think it's almost set up this way to make you realize like how thoughtful the system is. I sneak up on someone, I bash them over the head, they fall over, but they crash into a table, and the table crashes. And now what should have been like a stealth takedown has alerted someone down the thing. They come toward me. I'm like, fuck, what do I do? I'm like, oh, the table leg is right in front of me. Let me pick it up. I'll aim at the guy and I'll throw it. But I'm thinking Nathan Drake. I'm thinking I can lob this fucking table leg across the fucking thing and whack him, like snipe him with this thing. But like he throws it like a man, i.e. you're not actually going to throw it very far. So it funnily like clanked on the ground like a few feet in front of him and like nudged up against his foot as he was walking to me. And it's that moment of like, and
that's awesome. That's just like it's just like the movies.
It's
like the movie.
Super
I've been calling it like a
playing
slapstick comedy game. Like it
that's
really
awesome.
is.
Yeah. And all of it really resonates. Like it's clunky, and I don't think it's entirely by design. I do think that like there is some inherent like this is their first stab at making something like this, or like them returning to the Chronicles of Riddick game. I think that like the next game will feel a lot more polished and all these things will feel more intentional. But it's kind of that thing, Chris, that we did talk about with Outlaws, where I was like, I can't stand how stupid the AI is. But you made the great point of like, yeah, but the stormtroopers are fucking stupid.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
felt like I was in Star Wars because I'm just fighting
Yeah.
against the dumbest motherfuckers who like can't aim.
Yep.
Yeah, but this does feel all more intentional, and so
Hell
I
yeah.
totally dig the combat. It's clunky when you're scrapping, when you're brawling, and you're like throwing fists and fucking Nazis coming up on you. Like, it's messy, and like
Yeah.
it totally exhibits that. I love the open areas. Like, I'm in agreement pretty much with Gio. The open areas are the star of the show. The Vatican is so awesome to explore. It is the one. I just got to the area after that because I did everything. And I love the fact that it builds organically. It's not. The only thing from what Gio that gave an impression that I don't think is quite accurate is like it is just like just go explore the Vatican. It is a bit more guided in the sense of like you get a mission and it brings you over to this area and it makes it very, there's something interesting over here, and now you've picked up this side quest that just so happens like to follow a similar path to another thing, and boom, now I can knock out 2 things here. So there is like a flow and a pacing to unlocking the space that felt so good.
Did you, out of curiosity, Tom, did you play on the difficulty or like the setting that was like no markers, like guided play?
No, Tom's a baby. Tom needs baby.
Oh my god!
So the only thing I will say,
are you talking about? So like I had it on the highest puzzle setting.
Yeah,
and
then the other setting.
The other one is like for enemies, like with the are you talking about like the notification of like, they're noticing you? Or
no, there's another setting. There's the puzzle setting, which it can make puzzles a little bit easier. There's another setting that's like kind of, do you want guided mode or not? And guided mode is the more traditional, like here's the waypoint on the map, go there and look at it. But there's another setting, which is the one that I played, which is like less of that, and it's more of like, hey, just go, and we're not going to like super tell you where things are.
It's like a general area thing. Like,
it's a more general
that's
area
the one.
thing,
That's the one I did. Yeah, where it's
like, that's cool.
It's in this is
this a difficulty option, or is this like
there's
like
multiple? There's like action and adventure, and they're 2 separate things. And action is like enemy difficulty, and then adventure is the guided mode that
I want no help on the puzzles.
Yeah, so there is a mode that specifically is like it's here, and then the other one is like it's in this various perimeter. But I feel like I hear that there are more difficult puzzles later on in the game. I don't think there were any particularly. There was just the one Geo in the Vatican where you just have to shift stuff and like there's a thing sliding and you have to get it all lined. That one I was a little stumped on. But otherwise, I feel like
the spoiler beat.
Yeah, that's our spoiler.
That's the spoiler beat.
Yeah, Tom's
you have to slide things.
Otherwise, I felt that the puzzles so far haven't been that challenging. They haven't been bad, but they've been like, I just need like a minute to get my bearings on this, and then I'm good. But the whole game is a puzzle. So you don't want everything to be like a real thinker. Like there is a rhythm and flow that the game is absolutely trying to build because it's a Indiana Jones movie. The story also, I know, Gio, I don't even think the story is great so far. Like, and I hear that it only gets better, and like it's genuinely like one of the better indie. It's closer to something like a Raiders or a Last Crusade than it is the lower tier. And Troy Baker's performance as Indiana fucking Jones. Holy shit. Unbelievable. I like all the side characters.
It sounds really good in the trailer.
It's Chris, even the most like off cuff, because he's talking a lot. Like even as you're walking around, he's talking, he's commenting on things he's seeing. Every time you take a picture, he makes a comment. Every single fucking mannerism he nailed. It's unbelievable.
I played the trailer for Therese, and she was like, "Who's voicing this? It sounds really good."
He does a really, really like spot on Ford. The only thing I will say about him is that I do feel like there are times where I'm like, I feel like I'm not hearing his interpretation of the character. I feel like he's
Okay,
just doing
sure. He's
Harrison
just
Ford,
trying to do Harrison Ford. Yeah.
which I'm sure is kind of what most people want. So it's like he
Harrison Ford
delivers
is
that.
Indiana Jones.
Exactly. It's hard to separate him. And like they
Yeah.
made him look like Harrison Ford, so it's clearly
Yeah.
supposed to be him. But there were definitely a couple times where I was kind of like, I feel like I'm not hearing his take on the character so much. And
Okay.
it feels kind of like an impersonation, but a really, really good one. The actor that I really love in it, who I think like steals the entire show, and Tom, you'll see this more, I think, the deeper you get. But
Voss.
Emmerich Voss.
The villain.
Emmerich Voss.
Dude, the
He's
first scene.
fantastic.
That first scene that we get with him, I was like, oh, they literally were just like, we're gonna make dark indie. We're gonna do we're gonna make like the Nazi version of Indiana Jones, and it's I'm excited to see more of him.
He's great. He gets better and better.
I love how all the side quests.
Does he start out? Does he start out as a good guy, and then the twist is that he's bad, or he's always bad?
He's a Nazi.
I think he's a Nazi from the beginning, so I think he's bad.
Just checking here if you didn't, if you didn't spoil anything.
Depends on who you ask.
I love how the side quests tie into the main. What was that?
Nothing.
No, it was something.
Yeah, it's something, but it's not. I'll let Tom talk.
Okay.
I like how the side quests tie into the main story. The first time I even heard of the Great Circle was in a side quest. Like I totally could have skipped. That they all like bring additional flavor, so they feel like you're getting something out of them rather than just like there is kind of like a mission that's like go find this person, they've been captured by the Nazis, but you learn something about like the mystery you're on in that. So I like that a lot. The characters are great. I love Antonio the priest in the Vatican.
Yeah, he's
like
great.
the writing is just so good for all these characters. The place feels alive too. Like as you do stuff in the Vatican, things will change and like characters will move around and things like that. So although they won't necessarily notice like if you're punching someone right next to them, but there's fun little bits of dialogue to be heard. And like I was catching like these two nuns like kind of whispering, and they were like, I was like, oh, they're talking about that priest that I just like saw in this other part. I like that a lot. And you start to become familiar with the location. So like the more like you play, the more like you immediately know like, oh, if I take this staircase and this shortcut this way and go down these things and swing over here, that's the fastest way to get to the next area.
Oh shit! He voiced Alexios in Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Troy Baker,
the villain.
No, the Voss guy.
Oh, Voss guy.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, he's been around the block. He's great.
I think my big detractors would be I don't think like the menus are intuitive. Like,
sure. Yeah.
trying to, because there are some puzzles where like you need to refer to things in the journal, and like trying to find where in the like what page you need and like what puzzle is what, like what clue is you need to reference, I thought was is a little difficult to navigate. I'm still not used to that. And it's really funny because in the fucking first mission, you're fighting black shirts, which are like, you're in the Vatican, so you're fighting Italian, not fascists, right?
Yeah.
But then at the very end of the mission is when like, oh, the Nazis are here and they're tougher. Like they're actually tougher to defeat. And I was like, I love the fact that they like made the Italian fascists like the beginner grunts. And now like these Nazis can take like a couple more punches. And like, that's when like, because I thought you just have the pistol, but you can actually like whip weapons out of enemies' hands and pick them up.
Yeah.
It is kind of like Outlaws, where it's like you can only pick up enemy guns if you try and climb something, they're dropped, things like that. But I just love that little thing. I was like, oh, that's really fun. Because there was one point in the Vatican where everyone was alerting on me and I was just like fighting for my life, but I was able to do it. And there was just like 20 fucking like bodies in front of me. And I was like, I hope there's a bit more challenge to this later on. I might even crank up the difficulty there as well.
I've got like my 2 points against it, and I do have problems with it. Like I really like it. I still, there are still some parts of it that I'm like, like whatever. Like again, the more Uncharted linear story missions, which are more later in the game, Tom, I think are fun, but they're just like not as interesting as the
Yeah.
rest of it. The two things that get me, they're so ticky tacky, but hear me out.
Okay.
One is that I don't love the sound design in it. I love like
Ooh.
the individual sounds of like, oh, the whip, you know, or punching sounds really good, but the actual soundscape like is so dead. Like it's really empty. There's like not a lot of ambient sound. You know, there's like I had to like turn my TV up because I was like, am I on mute? Like I can't hear anything. And then I like put on
Interesting.
headphones and I was like, oh, there's just nothing there. Which bugged me a little bit. But again, very ticky tacky, very ticky tacky. The one that gets me a lot, the uncanny valley of the faces in it really creeps me the hell out. The faces are so
in
detailed.
gameplay when you're fighting enemies.
In cutscenes too, because like they put so much detail into these faces. They're like so beautifully animated, but they have the Polar Express thing where the eyes are just always like, you know, like really wide and like staring out, and the mouths are always like opening a little too wide, and like that really creepy effect of like, this is so realistic, but like this character looks wrong and I can't put my finger on why. Like, found it very distracting. Like there are points in it where I'm like, Indiana Jones looks like a serial killer in cutscenes. Like his eyes are always at their widest and he's always like, we gotta go do something. It's like, dude, calm down. There were just like a couple of little things where I was like, it almost feels like they had to get this thing out and didn't totally get the like final layer of polish into things like that enough to like get the thing out there and like have it be totally great, and for 99% of people to not really care or notice that. But like it hit that weird uncanny valley thing for me where I was like, this game looks so good otherwise, but like something about it has like this weird air of lifelessness at times.
I mean, Dial Destiny, the beginning of it takes place in the past, and they do the de-aging on Ford.
Ooh.
No, it's actually like probably the best de-aging I've ever seen. Like it looks incredible 90% of the time.
Yeah,
and then 10% of the shots, 10% of the shots are uncanny, and they take you out and you're like, ooh.
I'm telling you, man, it's like
it's so close.
The more realistic you get, the like the margin for error gets wider, you know, where
that's
like,
where they should just cut it down. And here's the thing that I'm guessing is, you know, I saw this game apparently has like 3 hours of like cutscene footage and stuff.
Yeah,
very long cutscene.
Yeah,
there's probably a lot that also that, you know, they're working with Disney. There's probably a lot that said like, well, it needs to also be an adventure action game, and like it needs to, and they've never done like a story that's quite like this, that like comes from this pedigree that has these expectations. My guess is like you look at it this time and then they can go and say like, what did people like, what didn't people like, and they can get that better edit second time around, you know.
The other thing is credit to Machine Games for like working with Disney on this, right? Because I'm sure that like they had very strict rules for this, right?
I'm sure it's a nightmare.
Sure, like if it's a very strict brand guideline, very strict like you can't be ultra violent, you know, like, or whatever. But like, good on Machine Games for like still finding a way to get its voice in, and still find a way to get like, obviously a developer who is like very, very anti-Nazi, right? And their stance is like no
good franchise for them.
Yeah, exactly. And they find a way to still have their teeth in the game, but like instead of doing it through like high octane shooting action, through comedy, right? Like it's still makes it's still like as vicious towards fascists as Wolfenstein games are, but like by making fun of them, by like humiliating them instead of like killing them.
Which by the way, like Last Crusade, like when Indiana Jones meets Hitler and he signs his dad's like, come on, like that stuff's so fucking funny. Like that movie movie's so theatrical. Always, like it feels like a stage play at times.
And the game feels like that too as well. Like it is that thing of like, you sneak up on a Nazi and it's like, oh, wouldn't it be a shame if someone picked up that giant thing right next to them and clobbered them over the head while they're tying their shoes? Like it's full of those moments to the point where it never, like to me, at least so far, has never gotten old to fucking punch one of these motherfuckers.
There's actually, in Last Crusade, there's actually like a theater gag where, I can't remember his name, but the guy that like, he had the journal, you know, they were like, he's in the wind, you'll never find him, and he's like, you know, he's in Egypt, and he's suddenly on the
It's
run.
smash cuts, yeah.
Yeah, and he goes hide in here, right? And so he goes inside the building, and then the facade of the building drops away, and the back of a truck lifts up and drives off with him, which like that is straight up like something out of like a theater, like a musical, or and then like it would cut to black and they would change the stage, like it's such a weird, goofy thing. So I'm glad that this sounds funny. That sounds awesome.
It's very goofy.
It's really goofy. And I know, Chris, you liked Deathloop a lot. I actually think like it has a lot of that, because I think that like Dishonored doesn't necessarily like have some of the locations are memorable, but they're not like, here are these specific locations. Whereas like Deathloop was like, you have the 4 areas or whatever it was. This is like, you have the 3, and like they're very specific and like very different and very varied from each other. And the other thing is though, is like, it's easy to say like, oh, this feels like an Arcane game, but what is so, to Gio's point, is like, it feels like a Machine Games thing first, and like an Arcane thing second. Like, definitely inspired by that team, but it 100% feels like the team that made Wolfenstein, with very little in common other than like the aesthetic of that time period.
Your voice matters. Like, genuinely, like if you are a developer that has a voice, I think we chalk a lot of that stuff up to like, oh, they make a certain kind of game. So we think of Arcane as like making an immersive sim. And it's like, that's not really, like, Arcane can make a game that's not an immersive sim that can still feel like an Arcane game, because Arcane has like a very specific way of writing and a specific tone. And they're like, all of these things. And this nails that, where despite it being so different than Wolfenstein, it is not like a guns blazing, bombastic, like crazy story kind of thing. It is like an old Hollywood pulp fiction,
awesome.
Whatever. Like, but you still just totally feel how those things are connected, and you feel they're like they're the way they make fun of Nazis, and fascism, and like the way that guides the tone of their games, and how they're like serious but also like very fun, and like dunking on its subjects, and like the power fantasy that comes from that. It is like unmistakably Machine Games in a way that I think is like so impressive, and like such an accomplishment for that developer, for sure.
Wild for a game that is getting praise like this to come out 3 weeks like before Christmas time. You know that they are probably wishing it had been ready a month earlier.
The websites that started running their lists too early. I was like I saw some come out today, and I was like, a little bit early, guys.
And a lot of people, like parents who still buying like physical games, doing Christmas shopping, which like, by the way, people are like definitely outside of the US probably buying. I'm curious what the split is, like what the physical versus digital is, because I was on the Walkabout MiniGolf Discord, and in the feedback section, someone was requesting, like, they were like, we really need you to make it so that when a new course comes out, we only have to download the new course, not update the whole game. They were like, the game is getting way too big. It took me 10 hours to update yesterday. The game's 8.5 gigabytes. And I was like, excuse me?
10 hours.
And so I sent them, that's why I was like, do you have 2 megabit internet? Like, what is your internet? And they were like, well, our internet, I'm in France. They said their internet is supposed to go up to 30, but usually it's under 10.
Wow.
Oh, and then so many people commented and were like, this is my problem too. They were like, oh, like when a new course comes out, I can't play it till the next day. I have to let it. And I was like, what? Apparently a ton of people have either really slow internet or still have data caps that are like under 100 gigabytes and stuff. And I'm like, what? I was like, 10 hours? It took me 1 minute to update this game.
This is why like, as good as cloud streaming has gotten over the years, it's still just not a viable thing. It's just not.
Like, I have gigabit internet, like I have fiber, and I don't even have the fastest speed. I could go up. I could go up to 5. AT&T offers up to 5 up and down for me, but I have I have 1 because I don't need more than that.
Right?
It's almost too fast.
No, not for me. Not I have to upload 200 gigs a day for work. So for me, there
are definitely points where it would be nice, but for the most part, I'm satisfied with 1 gig. It's crazy. We actually I had submitted my top 10 to the site for our voting, and then like a bunch of us after this weekend were like, "Yep, we're gonna have to like have a
Revote.
conversation
Yeah.
about this." So we did, and we'll see where it nets out when. In fact, I actually think it's Tuesday. Games of the year go out.
Are you going to be here for Game of the Year, the Game Awards, Gio? Or are you going to LA?
I will be at the Game Awards in LA, so maybe we'll see you there.
No, I'm gonna wherever if everyone's going to the W or whatever afterwards, I'm
you
gonna
know
just come
what?
out.
Yes.
Gio, I'm trying to get, because I'm going to be in town too. I'm trying to get me and Chris to do Sonic Top Golf. So maybe I'll see. We'll try and plan the three of us.
I'm in.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited. And my top thought when I was playing it, I'm excited to play more indie. My top thought when I was playing it, I was like, thank God, Chris. Like, it's because I was seeing Chris getting hyped, and I was very excited for this game, but I saw Chris getting hyped. I was like, I really hope it's good. And then I was like, Chris is gonna love this fucking game.
It was all the first person perspective. When I saw they were doing first person and they were talking about this game being puzzles, I was like, I know a lot of people were like, oh, first, I don't want this to be first. I was like, no, you don't want this to be Uncharted. You want this to be Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones uses his brain, and this needs a first person game to make a good puzzle game. Because all the best puzzle games I've played, you're not in third person. Because then it's just like platforming puzzles. I'm just pushing shit around, and that's not the best stuff there is. That's not where the meat is. I'm very excited for these like challenge puzzles that are optional. I'm very excited to just like want to put my head through a wall over some puzzles. That is some of the best stuff.
I'm excited to hear what you think of it. Everything that you've said about like what you like about Indiana Jones, I feel like this is a game that is made specifically.
This took my Game of the Year spot.
Could you never know.
Coming late. Speaking of the Vatican,
what?
Alex and I watched something that came out this last week.
Conclave?
Yeah, that's right. No. Oh no. Little documentary called Leonardo da Vinci by Ken Burns and I think his daughter. It was a two-parter on PBS. It's
about 4 hours total.
Yeah, it's about 4 hours. It's really good. They go through his whole life, the painting. They kind of go through it painting by painting in a
they go chronological order. Yeah, they start with him as an apprentice.
And then they go painting by painting.
I learned a lot.
Yeah. If you don't want to watch the documentary, I can recommend the biography by Walter Isaacson. Also really fucking good. He's actually featured in the documentary. But it's an amazing.
I should read that. I should read that now because this
really good. It's really good.
The scans of his work were incredible, but the thing that made it so there was a lot of things that were in there that I knew in pieces or I had some understanding of. But for me, I care about process more than anything. Understanding why something came to be the way it came to be is so much more interesting than just knowing what the thing is.
Yeah.
And them going through his life and how he learned and what he learned and going through like they were meticulously going through his notes and showing him learning the processes he learned and then showing him like and this was the first thing he made with all of that stuff. Like we just went through like an hour of him learning and this was the thing he did that he just learned all of that with. And they showed all of the predecessors that he took from and put their like knowledge into that. And you can just see like what a leap, like what a transformative leap he made. But they did such a good way of packaging all the information you need to have to like truly have a better understanding of it that like, even though I probably knew a lot of the things they were talking about, I didn't have the kind of like a working understanding of it. And so it was great. It was
great doc.
I watched it straight. I just watched straight. I finished part 1 and I said, fuck it, just going right in part 2.
Great doc.
There are
highly recommend.
There are very, very few pleasures in life like a new Ken Burns documentary. Just like the way that sucker, that methodical sucker just is like, oh, you want to watch a documentary about this subject? I'm going to tell you everything. And it's going to be dry as hell and you're going to love it. And it's like, thank you, Ken. You get it.
And there's so many like good figures of history like popping up in like parts of it, like Michelangelo's, popping in and out, and like
Yeah.
other historical like, and you're just like, oh, I know that guy. Like it's good stuff. It's really good stuff. It's great. I sent a message to your fiance Tom. I was like, you got to watch this. I'm watching it right now. It's fucking so good.
She would like any show that she can listen to like a podcast, she loves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I got high right before I started watching it too, and I was just laying on the couch watch just 4 hours of Vinci. It was good shit.
4 hours of
Of
Vinci.
Vinci.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I
Vinci.
did watch one other thing this week that I think you should all watch with your respective partners, girlfriend, fiance, wife.
Okay.
Hot Frosty.
Oh, I've heard
Oh,
about Hot Frosty.
Brooks apparently started watching it and hated it.
Well, she should get high. She should take an edible and then watch Hot Frosty.
Jesus
Um,
Christ.
it's a garbage movie, but it's supposed to be. It knows it's a. Craig Robinson gives the worst performance of his life in this
Yes.
movie, which is
Yes.
great. If you've watched Schitt's Creek, the veterinarian Ted is a human freak of nature in this film. He looks both sickly and at the same time the most vascular man that's ever lived. His veins, he has so many veins on his body that are popping so far out that you worry he would get a paper cut and just like bleed to death on it's scary. It's scary at times. And it's weird because all the women are like the thirstiest women in the world around him, and you're looking at him and you're like, this is a disgusting creature of a man right now because they're making him look like, if you don't know what Hot Frosty is, which I checked and it's not in the public domain. I thought that this was like a public domain thing, but it's straight up, what if Frosty came to life and he was hot?
Great.
So he was a
Perfect.
snowman
Oh.
and he comes
I
to
get it.
life and he's
Okay.
super hot.
Okay.
I love that.
But it's weird because he's like a dumb
He's a
human,
snowman.
and it's like all of these like women want to take advantage of someone who like basically has the mind of a child because he doesn't know anything about. It's a weird, weird, weird movie, and it was a great time. It was a great time. Highly recommend it. But this isn't a movie you watch on your own, and you don't. This is this. If there was like a chart of the Ken Burns Leonardo da Vinci film would be on one end of it, and on the complete farthest other side of that chart would be Hot Frosty. Like there's no space that they occupy that is the same.
You're losing brain cells because of you watching it. Like
Yeah.
you're forgetting
Ah,
information.
Shoot,
That's
I gotta,
so funny.
I've been doing so my like thing through the years. I'm like a movie guy at heart, but the sadness of my job is that like I just play so many games that like I just
Sure.
don't have the energy to watch good movies at any point. So
Yeah.
when December rolls around, when it's like, hey, there's not gonna be new games for like a month, I'm like, thank God. And I just start marathoning like 3 movies a day, and I'm like,
Hell
yes,
yeah.
catch up, all the stuff I missed. But I've only been watching like the real tough stuff, right? Like the really brainy, like here's a 3-hour like
You
Polish
watched
film or
Oppenheimer
something.
like toward Christmas.
Oh man, not even like I'm not, dude. I just watched a movie about like a 3-hour black and white movie about the Polish Belarus border crisis. Like I'm that
Great.
deep in it right now.
Oh, okay.
But
That's
I
like
think
what
I need to take.
I'm doing the
break.
1,000 films to watch before you die. And I
Sure,
was
yeah.
going in order, and I found that to be too dense because just watching too many
It's
back
tough.
to back to. So now I just started like randomly opening it and hitting a page, but I'm going back and forth now. It's like if I watch a black and
Yeah.
white, I don't watch a black and white next before I watch another one.
But I think I need to take a break from all of the dense art house movies that I'm watching and
Hot
throw
Frosty
on the list. Yeah, maybe that'll be a Christmas day. Get the whole
If
Oh
weed's
my
not your thing,
God.
there's alcohol, but you want to kill you want to kill some brain cells while you watch this
Yes.
movie is kind
Perfect.
of, or
Cheers
just
those
have
Mountain
someone that
Dews.
you're gonna watch it with.
Yep, that's
who
my
you-
Mountain Dew. Chug one.
If like Alex, you and Brittany would enjoy shitting on this movie for an hour and a half. You would enjoy just talking about how it's the worst thing you've ever seen, why people find him attractive because he's disgusting to look at, how it's like really inappropriate for these women to try and sleep with someone who has the mind of like a 3-year-old.
Wait,
There's a
so
lot
Frosty's
to complain about in
disgusting
this.
and they think he's hot?
He's both Tom, he's both like
Oh boy.
absolutely ripped and wearing as little clothes as possible throughout this film.
Mm.
But because he's also a snowman, anytime he's like inside, he's like he's like sweating. He's like too hot all the
What?
time. Because like Frosty, you got to keep him cold. So and they also make his skin look like alabaster white. Like he is as white as possible. So like he is like there. We are all like we're all way darker than this. Like he is one of the whitest man you've ever seen in this movie, and there's just something wrong about it because you have it on paper and you're like,
God.
this guy is attractive, but he is hard to look at because there's just too much going on that seems unhealthy. Like his blood pressure is too high. No one should be this vascular. Something's wrong. He has like 1% body fat. Like which also then led me to looking at this guy's Instagram, and this guy is unhinged. His Instagram up until recently, his Instagram was not even like actually like pictures of him or anything promotional. He would just repost like crunchy memes for like years. That was his Instagram. He would just repost like the weirdest memes from like Reddit on his Instagram. It's bizarre. The guy's a madman. I'm so into it. You gotta watch it.
That sounds
You
beautiful.
gotta watch. I got a mail I can read us. Unless anyone's got anything else we could pop into.
No.
Email it on Rank Podcast, or you can go give us a call, 805-738-8692. Give us a call. Tell us about your holiday gaming, what you've been playing, what's going on. Or you can go to our Discord, go to questions for the pod. This was a great question. I'm curious if you guys have any of these off the top of your head. I got to think about it though. Bronwell said, "What are everyone's favorite misheard lyrics? I was just listening to Dancing Queen by ABBA and realized the lyrics, you can dance, you can jive, having the time of your life, and not you can dance, you can die, having the time of your life."
What?
I got a lot of these. My favorite is in don't it always seem to go right, that song. You don't know what you got till it's gone. I always misheard the last line of that chorus as they paved paradise and put up a fucking lie. And I was like, that goes hard. I was like, that line goes fucking hard.
A fucking lie.
But it is they paved paradise and put up a parking lot, which is not as hard. But my version's cool as hell.
That's true. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, the one that I can think of off the top of my head is lame as fuck, but it's Billie Jean. I used to think it was Billie Jean is at my door, not Billie Jean is not my lover.
Wait, what?
I think I did too.
Billie Jean is at my door.
I thought so too.
I thought it was at my door. It's really Billie Jean is not my love. So yeah,
I thought it was not that girl.
Girl.
Billie Jean is not that girl.
Look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is that. Yeah.
The two,
I
did not know what he was saying either. Yeah.
That's
probably a common one.
Interesting. That's interesting. It is interesting hearing like that, because the one that I always remember is Florence and the Machine, Howl, which is like my favorite track of hers. The I think she says like howling eternal or something, but it sounds like she's going, I am a turtle. I am a turtle. And I swear to God, it's not.
I am a turtle. That's good.
And then Frank Turner actually has one as well that he did merch for a while because people like thought it was. He has one line that is invisible armor, but people heard it invisible llama.
Okay.
And so he had merch that was like, like if you wanted to, it's like it's a llama, but it's like a dotted line. And he had that for a while. Yeah. So that's another one.
Another one, Blank Space by Taylor Swift. I got a long list of ex-lovers. I heard it originally as I got a long list. I got a long list of Starbucks
classic
cards. I think is what I thought it was. I got a long list of Starbucks lovers.
The first time I heard the song 22 by Taylor Swift. Do you know
Taylor Swift again?
Red?
Yeah.
I
did a presentation last week on Taylor Swift.
And we have a presentation after with my Taylor Swift thing.
The first time I heard that song, the first line of it, right, is it feels like a perfect night to dress up like hipsters.
You thought it was
I
Hitler?
wasn't prepared, and I
No.
absolutely thought she was in the process of saying Hitler because she's
Yeah.
like Hit.
Yeah.
I fell out of my chair the first time I heard it. I was
Yeah.
like, "What the?" And then like heard the rest of the line and was like, "Oh!" And I can't unhear it now.
So
Every
you
time,
misheard it before even. Oh, you
Yes.
still hear Hitler.
my
That's so
brain,
funny.
yeah, and I still hear it every time. I'm like, she's about to say Hitler, unfortunately, and Indiana Jones.
That's
is gonna pop in
amazing.
here, knock her out.
Yeah, there's lots of good ones. I mean, there's lots of good ones.
Classics, yeah.
Though
I thought the
yeah.
under pressure one, but this
Mhm.
isn't. But it's just one that I always got wrong for a long time, where it says like pushing down on me, pushing down on you. It's supposed to be no man ask for, but I never knew what they were saying there, and
No,
I thought
no,
it was.
no.
I thought it was just pushing down on us all. I thought is what he was saying at the end there, but I think that actually fits a little better. No man ask for, but my favorite is not one that I misheard, but that everyone's favorite podcaster, women podcaster, misheard. And it's Hawk Tua, misheard when she said that
Hawk
when
2 is in a
when
bit of trouble.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's great. It's so good. It's so
Why is
good.
Hulk to it in trouble?
Because she
Crypto,
put out a
baby.
shit
Crypto
coin
rug
and
pull.
Put out
and
a
she
fucking
rug
crypto
pulled.
coin that fucking tanked.
I mean, look, that's what all these things do, right? They're all just, this is what
Unbelievable.
Tech Bros have brought us
Yeah.
is I saw a great summation of it. The Tech Bros have brought us fake taxis, fake hotels, fake money. Like this is everything. This is what they have
We're
replaced the
living
world
in a
with.
monopoly board.
Yeah. But she thought the New York song,
But New York.
no, Jay-Z's Empire State of Mind.
Oh, sure,
New York.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
She
Even I
misheard.
knew when he said New York, I was like, "Oh, Empire State of Mind, of course."
She thought the song when he says "Concrete Jungle," where dreams are made of. She thought it was "Concrete Jungle, Wet Dream Tomato."
Oh, nice. Okay.
She's always thinking about having a little Hulk tour, isn't she?
Always on her mind. She's got a brand.
I
gotta get her on the
believe
pod.
she's- I can't. Yeah.
I love it. I think
We
it's
should
great.
Get her on the back end. We got to get her on the back.
Dude, we can't afford her. She has the number. She had like the number 3 podcast on Spotify.
No, I know,
Dude,
but
yeah,
we'll get her on the back end because we'll
she
still
managed to
Yeah, but we're gonna be around forever.
crank it.
Yeah.
So we'll get her
She'll
on the
be-
back
Her
end.
star is gonna fall,
Guarantee
and you're gonna
not
get her
to
talking about
start
like
a crypto currency, unranked coin.
She'll
2 years. She's gonna be on to talk about
Yeah,
some Ultra Beast where it's like, what do you think about number 785? It's the Ultra Beast SMB 50 or whatever the fuck they're named in
Yeah.
those games.
I mean, she hasn't had to resort to an OnlyFans yet.
Yeah.
not yet.
Yeah, but you know,
We'll get her. I told you, we'll get her.
Mothers
We'll get her
do
on
this,
her way
pulling
out.
a shit ton of money. We'll get her on the
She's
way
fine.
out.
I don't know, man. That's a rising star. I wouldn't bet against her.
No, we'll get her on the way out.
She's gonna be talking about Vanillux or whatever you're on at that point.
Yeah.
I'm on Team Hawk Tua.
We're gonna have the record for the long. We're gonna be 60 years old still doing this podcast. We'll have Hawk on. See what she thinks.
Wish she just goes by
First
Hawk
name
now.
basis.
Yeah. It's like she tries to rebrand and she's just Hawk.
That's cool.
Yeah, I love that.
Some Dragon Age shit.
Yeah, and literally Dragon Age 2.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. All right. Well, Tom, you have a presentation or something?
I do. So last week,
I instructed you to come back with your top 10, 11 Taylor Swift songs.
Ooh.
so here's what it is. I had given Chris a challenge. Name your favorite, because he's a big Taylor Swiftie. He just did
Eras Tour.
Hell yeah. Congrats.
So I was
That's
like,
amazing.
name me your,
Congratulations
because I don't know
on the
Taylor
tour.
Swift very much. And I was like, name me your 10 best Taylor Swift songs. And it ended up being 11 because he did one from each album, his favorite song from each album.
Mhm.
And then what we ended up doing is I listened to the songs, most of which for the first time, or at least like the first time I really recognized. Sorry, I got to sign in with my password.
Which is tough because some of them were slower songs. So some of those
Sure,
are songs
sure.
that like you kind of need to hear for a little bit before like they grow on you.
But so I gave them a listen, and now I've ranked them. So before it was
Hell
just
yeah.
the best song from each thing. Now
So-
I have ranked.
This
so
is
what
your
we've-
top top 11 Christian Taylor Swift songs.
Yeah, so
Yeah, right.
it was
Tom's version.
It's Taylor Swift's 10 best songs.
Version.
It's Taylor Swift's 10 best songs, Christian's version, Tom's version.
Great. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
So here
I'm going to judge this. I'm going to judge. It's good because I'm going to judge both of you with this. Where I'm going to be like,
yes.
I can't believe you have this low and you had this.
Keep in mind here, Gio. So I purposefully picked
Yep.
one for each album. That's
Each
why there's
album,
11.
He
And
didn't
the other
rank
thing is,
them
I
either.
didn't. They're not my favorite. I
Okay,
picked
okay.
best, and when I picked best, there's some that are definitely like, gun to my head, definitely not my favorite. But I was like,
Yeah.
oh, like I'm not gonna have 3 songs of a similar vibe. So like some of them I kind of
Okay,
differentiate. So that being said, I still think I have a pretty good selection.
I'll be the judge of this shit. But yeah, let's do it.
All right, so to give a little reminder for Gio, because he wasn't here last week, Chris pulled these stats. He had Spotify 2024 most listened to Taylor Swift songs, which is on the left, and then Rolling Stones.
We don't see. We just see your
Wait, we see your
background
bullshit.
and your mixing
Yes.
suite.
Is your background
Oh.
from Tunic?
Yeah, the game he started.
The game that you
It's-
started didn't fucking play?
Is it Tunic? I don't think it is. I think
Yeah,
this
we
is,
see Tunic right now.
That's
I mean, that's
definitely
a
Tunic.
That's
Hundo P
Tunic.
Tunic, dude.
Oh yes, there it is. It's from an artist. I just have a bunch of his art, and I just have it
I mean,
Is that
it's
an
just-
Oreo toe?
circulates through his Oreo. It just circulates through his art.
Okay.
Spotify's top 10 on the left there.
Okay.
And then Rolling Stones, I guess, top 10 on the right.
Okay.
So with that being
I can't believe
Would that be-
Which
Spotify
I
doesn't.
just
well,
put up for
okay, never mind.
context. You know,
Sure,
Spotify's
yeah, yeah.
are based on plays.
Right,
Yes.
plays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna go in order from least favorite to most favorite.
Okay.
And I didn't give each of these songs a ton. Like I probably listened to each
Sure.
one like twice.
Tom,
But-
this is your version. Just you don't need to make excuses.
Okay, I'm not making excuses.
Well,
I'm
you
just
made
saying-
an
I'm just-
excuse.
I'm just
I don't
saying,
think you're making excuses, but
to give
it's
you
all right.
context for where I'm at. Like I
Great.
didn't listen to them deeply over and over again.
Okay.
All right, so in last place, in 11th place, we have Ready For It.
Oh, I agree.
Sure. Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. That's
totally
fair.
agree
That's
with this. Totally agree with this.
The notes that I
raps.
took on this
Yeah, the
were
rap is terrible.
I can't wait
was
for
like-
Taylor's version because she's gonna put so much more work into this album because it's. Sorry.
No,
Yeah,
it's fine.
this isn't your presentation.
No, I'm just.
I want to hear what Chris thinks because
Well, no, it's just
Um,
this
yeah.
this album, right? Didn't get even nominated for Grammy that year, and like
It's
it's
a
it's
big
a
thing.
well-known fact
Yeah.
that like basically her response was like, I just have to do a better job. I didn't make a good enough album, and then she fucking made Lover, and she fucking made an absolutely incredible fucking album next, which was like probably maybe my favorite album of hers. So. That's why Taylor's version hasn't come out for Reputation yet. And because she had that reaction to it, something tells me Taylor's version of Reputation is going to be probably the biggest departure from all of the other Taylor's versions. Because she's going to probably try and correct whatever she sees as the errors of that album.
I didn't hate, and
opposed
I'll
to
say
the
this,
Eras tour.
I didn't like dislike anything.
Okay.
This honestly, just for me, it felt generic, and I think that it felt
Yeah.
generic because it was her first stab at something like this, and it really
Mhm.
is like
Yeah.
very raw and like very like I'm just getting this out on the page. So I didn't hate it, but it definitely was my least favorite. Okay, next we have Willow on Evermore.
Okay.
I thought this was fine.
Okay.
Yeah, honestly, like I'm even struggling to remember it right now.
Watermark fucking image
Yeah.
that you pulled
It's
here is very
so-
funny.
It's I just switched the order of Chris's presentation,
Okay.
so that's what makes it Christian's version. Tom's version is literally a remodified version of his. So yeah, Willow was there. Any thoughts on Willow and its positioning as?
No.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Evermore guy, so I'm fine with this placement.
It's my least favorite album. I mean, I still think there's good songs, but to me, it's like a vibes album.
Yes.
And this
It's
song,
very much the B-sides of Folklore.
yes. And this song, performance-wise, I really enjoy the performance during the Eras Tour, and so that's why this one sticks out to me the most.
Sure.
I'll give you it.
Yeah. Again, I mean, I didn't.
Fine, yeah.
I wasn't.
This is probably, if you ask me like on my list, what pick I feel like the weakest about, like if I had to defend it, this would, without question, I would immediately go to this one.
Okay.
Okay. Next, in the number 9 position, we have Mean.
Oh,
Means your speaking out choice?
dude, I think it's a song, and I really wish you would actually sing it at Eras, because I think it's a song that, especially now, has the context of it and what she's kind of saying in it is so much more interesting as an adult.
But there's so many bangers on that record.
There are. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean,
What?
it's great. But I put it there because I feel like it's a song that I went with it because of the fact that I don't think it gets enough recognition. That's kind of why I picked it. I think it's an
Sparks
underrated
Fly.
song.
Tom Space.
Back to December.
I mean,
Fucking
I don't
Dear
know
John.
anything about the rest of the album, so I was.
Tom, I gotta make you a fucking list. All right, it's fair.
Dude,
It's-
no, look, like if you also gun to my head, like Enchanted is my favorite song, not Mean, but I put Mean on there because of the fact that I think it's highly underrated and doesn't get the
Dear John, baby.
I mean, Enchanted,
my
come
note,
on.
My note here is didn't do much for me.
That's
Oh.
fair.
Sure.
I also felt like we had we were obviously in the early days, and I just like listened to our song, and like I was like, well, that's just like a better country record. So that was Mean. The next we had Red, and on Red we had All Too Well.
yeah.
Oh,
10-minute
all too
version.
Well,
One of the greats.
Oh, 10
Wow.
minute version. See, I didn't listen.
I forgot to write that, but
That's all right. That's all right.
Gotcha.
The original is great too, but it's a little low on your
pretty
list.
sure.
here,
Yeah,
Tom.
it's pretty kind of low on your list here, Thomas.
you know it's because he
What's
didn't
the
have
deal?
because I didn't write 10-minute version there. I said it when I did the
even
presentation.
so, this
but-
version kicks ass.
Yeah, it is.
Tom,
It's incredible.
what's going on?
I like, and here's the thing. I would say
Slower songs you
everything-
got to listen to more. That's
Tom, what's
the
going on, man?
I
Yeah.
would say everything from here on out, I like genuinely liked. Like I
Okay.
like,
okay.
I
Okay,
liked
alright.
this song.
Okay.
Everything before, I was
Not enough.
Yeah, not what too many
here's
words
what
for
I
you.
wrote. I wrote I said I liked the vocal flourishes and I liked the hook of the song.
Yeah. Sounds like you're taking too analytical of an approach to this. Should just feel it.
I
that
think-
was my feeling. That was my
Let
feeling.
that
Yeah.
story flow.
I think it's
through you.
because it's a
Story.
slower song. The slower songs sometimes you
All
need
right.
more time with.
Fill me up again just to break me like a promise. Oh,
Ah.
come on, man.
Ah, I'm gonna have to go
That'll
watch
fuck
the
you
Eras
up.
tour
All right,
again.
next, I have The Man.
The
from
Man is your pick from this record, bud.
Lover.
Oh
Again-
man,
again,
this
not
is
my
amazing. Tom
favorite
and
song on
Chris
the
are
album.
Both getting judged.
Right, you just didn't want to put Cruel Summer because everyone knows Cruel Summer. Is that the idea?
This is so good.
No, I went with it because I think so
Cruel
many of
Summer
the
is
other
such a
song picks
banger.
are her talking about relationships, and this one specifically, she's not. And I think it's important to highlight some of the songs where she's talking about something that's not just about her, and is also, talking about like being a woman. It speaks to women on a different level. It's why it hits so fucking hard at the Eras tour. Also, keep in mind, I did also specifically talk about a lot of these, like from the viewpoint of someone that just saw the Eras tour. So
Oh,
like
I
a lot of
understand.
these are being based on that too. And the reaction that this song gets at the fucking Eras tour and the way those women like react at this song, like you can't deny the energy of this song. But it's also not my favorite song on the album.
I'm adding Cornelia Street to my list for Tom
Mm.
for this one.
Oh,
It's a banger.
that's an
a banger.
incredible song.
I used to live on
Incredible
a
song.
Cornelia Street, and I was when that album came out. I think I was living on Cornelia Street, and I was like, "Uh-oh, this is about me."
And also, Lovers probably my favorite album. So
It's really good. It's quite good.
Other
Other than two songs on it, it's quite good.
I love the chorus in the song, and I thought just like a really solid pop song.
Okay.
Next, Karma on Midnights.
Yep.
Okay.
Good track.
Solid pop song
Solid track,
is
good
what I
track.
wrote.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
solid
Good
track, solid track.
Yeah,
I
solid
liked
track,
it.
solid track. Good track. Good track.
Golf clap.
look,
That
if
tracks.
it's a song you end the Eras tour on, then
Yeah, I
you
get
save
that.
you save the best for last.
Next, Invisible String, Folklore.
Oh, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
I respect it.
yeah.
I
I
love this
loved
song.
I loved the
Yeah.
melody of it. Yeah, I really liked it. I thought that
Mm.
again, we're kind of out of the that kind of middle era of Taylor Swift at this point, with like her
Yeah.
really pushing into pop and letting her country stuff go back into the past, and we're kind of stepping into that a bit, although it's more folk than like straight
Yeah,
like
this is the
American
most.
country.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
And
This is a
I
wild
love
pick, but I
I
respect it so much. That's cool.
Oh,
That's a cool one.
I love folk music, and what was so funny is just like listening to all of these things. I'm like, the reason, like, it's very clear why she is as popular. She can kind of make any kind of genre very palpable to like
Yes.
a
Mhm.
mass consumption standpoint. And
Mhm.
I'm just like, oh, there's so much in this that is like I recognize from my love of various folk bands, but
Mm.
also like made for like teenage girls and like
Yes.
and like everyone on the planet like
She's
digestible.
pop. She's the pop version of the Mountain Goats. So, like she can't help but
Wow.
just constantly write music.
That's
She
cool
is
as hell.
that's
Yeah.
that's and the Mountain Goats are have always have for a very long time been my favorite artist, and that's why I would argue that Taylor Swift's probably becoming like my new favorite artist or tied with them because if she continues, I mean I respect her songwriting more than anything and her
Yeah.
ability to do that, like as someone who likes to make things. So this song, similar to The Man, I really like for the fact that she's again not talking about relationships because she gets, I think, too much of a rap for just talking about like her breakups, which like, hey, those songs fucking are great. I'll listen to a 10-minute song about Jake Gyllenhaal. It's incredible. It's one of the best songs she's ever made. It's unbelievable. But Invisible String, one of my favorite things in life are those like things where you're talking to someone and you're finding out how like what a tiny world we live in and how many like connections you didn't realize you already had and like how those things come up. That so this song for that reason is why I like that one.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
sure.
agree
It's great.
I would agree with all that. I liked it.
I have
I
to
liked
like
it.
defend myself to Geo every song now.
No,
No,
he
this
said he
this one I
liked
think is
it.
your coolest pick. This is the one where I'm like, I wouldn't have thought of that, but that's a cool one.
Okay, next we have Shake It Off.
Sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is the one that I knew going in.
Mhm.
And it's one of those things where I've only ever heard it. I've never
Sure.
intentionally listened to it. I've just heard
Yes.
it at a thing or in a Target commercial. And I'm just listening to it and I'm just like, no wonder this is a classic. Like, this is
Yes.
Mhm.
like everyone knows this song. I knew this song. And I just thought, and again, this is on the album, if I'm not mistaken, is like the first real like straight pop album,
Yes.
right?
This was
Or like
her
at
turn into a
least
pop artist.
yeah. And so like I found it weird that I felt like she really nailed this transition, but then when she moves to something like Reputation, I was like, huh, you didn't nail that. Like, you nailed like the Shake It Off thing. Anyway,
Tom, I'll
I,
tell you, this is I can't dispute the pick. It's a classic for a reason. If you want to blow your fucking mind and get into the bonus track shit from this album, get on New Romantics and come back to the show next week and let me know what you think of that motherfucker.
all right, well, you got to make me Gio's version.
I'll make you. Yeah, I got you.
I need Gio's version, and we'll see. Then
Do
I'll
another
rank
half
it
an
on
hour
the-
Alex,
next
you
week
send
that
in your
way.
version as well.
This is
You send in your
amazing.
version as well,
Yep.
Alex.
Yeah. What? No,
Yeah,
no, no,
well,
no, no,
does
no,
Tuna
no, no.
have a version? Does he have a
No,
favorite
no,
song
I'm
from
not
each album?
involved in this. I'm not
Oh,
involved
okay.
in this.
All
I'm
right.
not involved in this.
So
This
that was
this
Shake
is
It
your
Off.
guys. This is your thing.
Next, we had Clara Bow on Tortured.
Oh,
The
Clara
thing
Bow.
isn't fitting correctly. This was
Oh
her
yeah.
most
Oh,
this
good
was
choice.
her most touching song.
Ooh.
For sure. I felt the storytelling, this is the best storytelling in any of the songs that I had heard, simply because like it does. I really like songs that escalate in
Mhm.
terms of their storytelling. A lot of songs are like call and respond, right? Like you have the
Sure.
verse and then the chorus is a response to that. Then you have a different verse, but it's kind of the same messaging potentially. But this is really telling the story. And like when the like on it, like Chris had explained why this song is what it is and all this. So I already knew the twist at the end. But when she sings, like people say I look like Taylor Swift, like I was like, oh, like okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
like
phenomenal.
okay,
This is like one of her
yeah.
best
I
songs,
love this
stealthily
song.
for sure. It's phenomenal. Yeah,
So
and the
that
way
that
it's the where it comes on the album too is just like, ooh, it's such a bullet when it lands. It's good
And then
shit.
like learning, then going and like Googling who Clara Bow is, and then seeing all
Yes.
the influences and like especially the art influences just mirroring next to her, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh my God, this is crazy.
yeah, so really, really like this one. All right, next, Love Story,
Oh.
Fearless.
Sure.
This was
Yeah.
one that when it started playing, I was like, I do fucking know this song. This is the one that I was like, I have heard this one. Of course I've heard this one. And man, I mean, like you just can't fault it. Like it is it
That's
it
a good
it,
one.
it is maybe a near perfect pop song. Just from the fact that it really is just like it can be that thing of like you can just hear it and like it. I
Yeah.
know,
It's
but then you
incredible
can
that an
listen.
18-year-old wrote that song.
It is. It's so good.
The only thing I'll say about it
Yeah.
Yeah.
is it is unmistakably a lovely song. When it came out, I was working in retail.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
Nothing will make you hate a song more than working in retail. And I like for a long time hated this artist.
Where did you
because
work?
of this song? Oh, I think that I must have been at Marshall's when this motherfucker
Okay.
came out.
I was at the Apple store, so I heard this
Okay.
every day.
Yeah. No, I heard this song every day. Like the
Same
era
with
of like Bad Day by
1989.
Daniel Powder and shit. Like it ruined her for me until 1989. I was like, no way, and then I like came back and was like, oh, okay, she's actually good.
You're not working at Marshalls anymore.
Not
So
anymore.
that means that my favorite of the
Wow,
Taylor Swift songs
debut.
was Our Song.
Wow.
Fuck. Tom, what the fuck
debut.
is wrong with you? What?
I put this was the first one that I put on, and I was like, this is a fucking blast. I'm having a lot of
Wow.
fun.
Wow.
And I just
I didn't see that coming, even though I should have at this point.
I was going to say, you made the list.
It was such an earworm, and every time
Okay.
that it was the first song I listened to, and every time that it got to something that was coming to the top, I was like, I enjoyed Our Song more. And I think it's funny because like
Wow.
I'm not a country person, but Brooke loves like this kind of music. I also think
Oh, wait, is this Brooks' version or your version?
this is Tom's version, but I'm just saying that like when I listened to it, I was thinking about the fact that she liked like this early 2000s like country, and I was like, oh, I kind of get it. Like I got it with this. And the other, that being said, in a similar way to like Chris was like, I just watched the Eras tour, so like that was influencing me. I do think that the nostalgia of both this one and Love Story of a place and time, and like this is very of that. I definitely think that did skew me. Like I said, I think that Clara Bow is the one that like I was touched by the most, and like I'm like, okay, this transcends for me. Like it leans more into this isn't as palatable, I think, for the masses, quote unquote, but it's feeling a bit more specialized, and so I do think this is maybe the best one. But like the love story one, I'm like, I'm sick of hearing it, but I'm never sick of hearing it. Like that song could come on, and when that chorus comes in, I'm like, baby, just say yes. Yeah. And then
Also, like
I
again,
said, Our Song, it was a fucking rip roaring good time.
Sure.
any song where people get proposed to over and over and over again is, it's a banger.
Which one is that? This one or Love Story?
Love Story.
Love Story, gotcha. So yeah, so that's Tom's. That's Taylor Swift's top 11 best songs. Christian's version, Tom's version.
I can't wait for Gio's version.
I'll get you a list, but I don't have anything from the first album. I just am not familiar enough with it. But I'll get you 10 songs elsewhere.
It won't be better than our song, I'll tell you that.
It is. Our song is great. It's a banger.
It is a banger. Song.
I'll wait for the Taylor's version of it.
So yeah, so all in all,
at this point,
all in all, my Taylor experience, I was not like, oh, now I have to go seek out her music, but I was like,
you'd have fun at the Hour Store.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Wait until you get Collantonio's version. You're gonna change that fucking tune real quick. I'm gonna get you in some deep cuts, Tom.
All right.
You should really watch. You should take an edible, Tom, Disney. And watch the Eras Tour because
you're always trying to get Tom to take an edible.
Yeah, you're really pushing the edibles.
Chris is always like, I did this thing. And the way to really do it is take it.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Well, no, but I know who I'm talking to here. Yeah. It's the other thing. Like, come on. Yeah. I know my audience. I play to the audience. I know who I'm talking to. If I was talking to Alex, I wouldn't say take an edible. I'd be like, go get a spindrift, sit down, get cozy, make sure your wife fell asleep, and put on this movie. Yeah. It's different strokes for different folks. But you really should watch it, Tom, because just the performance art, the stage, the costume, it's unbelievable. The 3.5 hour nonstop, there's no break performance that she does is like, I've never seen anything like it in my life. It's incredible. It's unbelievable.
An artist.
Jesus.
All right.
Wow.
That's a podcast. Once again, thank you so very, very. We love having you here. You're the best. You're the best boy here on the show.
Love being here.
I can't wait for Gio's version.
I'm gonna send it.
I do.
I'm
waiting with bated breath.
I want to check it out. I want to check it out for sure.
Yep.
That's a show. Next week, Tom and Gio won't be here. It'll just be Alex and I for the. We're gonna pre-record something ahead of the Game Awards, and then hopefully I'll be seeing you guys later that night. Got some fun stuff coming up, but until next time, everybody, stay unranked.
Suck it.
Oh, Gio, we've been doing contests throughout the year, and they're bi-weekly, right? We do bi-weekly gaming challenges, and then if you lose, you have to. So I had to do a presentation because I lost, and then Tom just listened. Now, Tom, we're coming up on the end of this, but so far we've had 21 challenges this year. Now, as a peer who works in gaming.
Of course,
Tom in games media. Alex and I have done our best to try and light a fire under his ass competition-wise.
Oh.
But Tom has only secured 3 wins out of the 21 challenges this season.
Are you trying?
Ooh.
So there's a couple of elements to it. There's a couple of elements to it.
There's a couple of elements? Okay.
Brother.
A lot of the games that we have played have been before my era.
But you get to pick a third of them.
I know. Well, here's the thing. For most of the time, we actually weren't doing it that way. It was whoever won got to pick. And then we shuffled it into, it was a rotating
I think that changed after like the fifth one.
It was
after the 6th one. I'm looking at it here. It was once we got up to GoldenEye, we went on to a rotation.
So the other thing is with it is other than like I'm just not good with like N64 or NES or like controlling these things.
I mean, this is starting to sound like you're just not a good gamer.
That's the subtext I'm getting. Tom, what challenges did you win?
I won Super Smash, but the Nintendo one.
He won the Nickelodeon Smash Brothers.
Okay,
he won the Nickelodeon Smash Brothers.
Nickelodeon Brawl.
To be fair, it's been close a lot of times with a lot of things. Like when we did the Smash tournament. What else did I win? I won a Call of Duty thing.
You won Call of Duty. There's most kills on Warzone.
Yeah, most kills on Warzone.
Whatever.
Next.
Your Destiny challenge failed because Tom that's a scrubbed challenge because Tom picked a challenge that it turned out was like only available for a couple of days and then it went away. And so
it was mode that I thought was like a permanent mode, but it was one of the recycled ones.
Okay.
And to be fair, it was actually Tuna who had fucked up. If Tuna had just not fucked up, me and Chris had it. But the other thing is I didn't want to pick things that I could like easily win. But now I'm just gonna do that.
Why?
I'm pretty sure your
wanted
co-host
that
probably
to be
did.
like a challenge. Yeah, I know. I'm
Yeah, but
going to
also,
fucking
Tom,
start.
like, do you know? Have you watched us? Like, I'll grind it out. Like
Yeah,
Astrobot,
yeah,
I
yeah. I'm
fucking
gonna play.
grinded that
I'm gonna
shit
play.
out.
I want the challenge. That's the thing. When he would pick something that like Alex and I are like, all right, well, Tom's gonna lose this. Why is he picking this? I want the challenge. I want to go in as the underdog. I want to
Like
climb
Mario
that mountain.
Kart. When I won that Mario Kart, and I beat you in
It's
that
just-
Mario Kart one.
it
That
is-
was I was like,
I'll-
holy shit, you're Mr. Mario Kart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
actually
you-
expected
but-
Tom to cakewalk
Yeah, you
Mario
were
Kart.
Mr. Mario Kart. I beat you.
But you beat me by like what, like .06
Yeah, but
of a
you see, but that's what I'm
second?
saying is this idea that you don't want to pick games that you know you're going to win. That's ridiculous because knowing that I'm gonna grind that shit out until I
Yeah,
beat
and
you.
that is the thing is Tuna. I would say both Tuna and Chris are more of the
Competitive
like,
spirit.
yeah. There's
Yeah.
Well,
a
this is
bit
what I'm
more of
saying
that.
is I'm
This is what
trying
we're
to
saying.
figure out, Tom, how we get more of a competitive edge for
Okay.
for next season. Because this season's
Like
wrapping up.
this X-Men game, you better put
This-
some fucking hours. into
I
this
bought them.
X-Men game.
I bought them the Tiger Electronics.
Oh,
Gio.
beautiful.
We're doing a gauntlet of them
You
for
better
the
put some
final
fucking
episode.
hours into this, Tom, because I'm putting hours.
Hours.
I'm putting hours into this bad boy. Okay,
Hours.
Yo, that game is so fucking hard.
it's
Yeah,
so hard.
Yeah, if you got your hair cut a lot as a kid though, you were at the barber shop and they had that motherfucker in there. That's what I had. We had
I
those
played
suckers.
I had the Power Rangers one a lot.
I had
Yeah.
Street Fighter. I didn't have this X-Men one. This X-Men one is fucking hard. You're basically just Cyclops and you're just dodging and shooting the whole time. That's all you do.
Yeah.
It's just
And dying.
jump, dodge, shoot, jump, dodge, shoot, shoot.
Yeah, yeah. So, like I said, put some hours in.
Put some hours.
That's some hours. But yeah, we whether it's peer ridicule or the punishment, Tom's had to do a lot of presentations, and what I want to not see next season out of Tom is so many presentations.
Tom, think about how many presentations you won't have to do. You won't have to make fucking PowerPoints.
I know.
Tom's had to make so many fucking PowerPoints.
That sucks, man. That sounds hard. You got shit to do, dude.
Plus, I want
do have
Alex
shit
to
to
have to
do.
make more PowerPoints.
Sure, yeah. We gotta
Alex
get
only
more-
had to make one.
Get an Imagine Party Babies challenge so Tom can win that one.
The biggest problem,
Baby
I'll
games.
say the other problem, it is also just like time because like my gaming time is usually put into something like
Excuses.
I'm having to play for work.
Yeah, Gio, exactly. Fucking excuses, dude. Get your shit together.
You got a podcast, brother.
Oh
That's
my God.
priority number one, dude.
I have a kid. I have a kid, and I'm still grinding the shit out.
I know.
That's true. That's true. You do have a child.
Tuna has a child, and it will sometimes come second. She will.
Just so
sometimes
Alex
come
doesn't come
in that
second.
week's
I
challenge.
sacrifice
Yeah,
sleep so I
Alex
don't have
is
to do a
number
fucking
one, yeah.
presentation.
Yeah.
I'll be in bed fucking playing Switch or something or some bullshit trying to grind it out because I'm not fucking doing that. I'm not doing a presentation. I'm not doing it.
I'll say this, Tom. You're getting one more point because Crazy Taxi, a game I've never played, controls like absolute ass, and I cannot figure out how you play this fucking game.
Crazy
I
Taxi was
cannot
the
figure out how you
first-
play this game.
Crazy Taxi was the first one that came under the new era. Speaking of eras, the new era of Tom not giving a fuck about any kind of like competitive matches they have because I know that fucking game's fucking nooks and crannies and quirks.
I don't know shit.
Anyway. I won that marble one too.
No, you didn't.
No, Alex won the marble
I
one.
won the marble
You
one.
won.
Again by
You
like
won
point
Walkabout
nothing.
MiniGolf 8-bit
No,
race.
it wasn't point nothing. It was a couple seconds.
Oh, I did win the Walkabout MiniGolf one. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Tom,
Yeah.
we're gonna get you in a fucking Tetris 99 challenge. We're gonna get you a pro at Tetris 99 or something.
I would like Tetris is a good one. Tetris is a good one.
All right.
Disappointed.
Okay. All right.